bird, it's a plane, it's a dork, it's a couple dorks, reminiscing some nostalgia in classic video games, toys, and cartoons. I'm your boy Blaise McCoy, and with my awesome friend Super Nacho, we invite you to join us in the Legion of Dork, a podcast where we talk about our favorites of the past and discuss it all with you. The good old days when video game arcades were full, pinball, and more. When the toy stores were stocked to the ceilings with all your favorites like G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Well, it started all with Pong with me in the 70s. Then Atari, Nintendo, Sega, ColecoVision, and television, and more brought new classics. Classics like Space Invaders, pew pew pew, and Donkey Kong, Pitfall, Dig Dug was a great one. Spent a lot of quarters on Galaga, that's for damn sure. Tecmo Bowl, hut, 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 touchdown, and all the sports games. Super Mario Brothers became an instant classic, so did Zelda and Sonic the Hedgehog. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a great one to play. So was Street Fighter, Hadouken, and all the fighting games. Star Wars toys and Hot Wheels is where I started collecting toys back in the day. Masters of the Universe, and you can't forget the bad guys. Of course, Transformers, more than meets the eye. Inhumanoids are here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell. Can't forget the wrestling figures, WWF, AWA, and those little guys, the Muscles. Yeah, I love playing with those, are great. Thundercats, ho! And even Voltron brought them all together with movies, cartoons, and toys. Join us in the Legion of Dork right here on the Blaise Radio Network here on YouTube. Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Blaise McCoy. We're back for another Legion of Dork, and of course, it's long overdue. Long overdue since we got together to talk retro, just about everything. We hit toys, comic books, cartoons, TVs, movies, you name it. Anything from mostly the 80s and 90s we've talked about. Our first podcast, way back December 6th, we did He-Man, Transformers, and we talked about Atari 2600. So we just try to mix it up. We do some superheroes or supervillain stuff. We also do video games and maybe some TV or movies. Sometimes they all tie together, like our second episode was all Spider-Man. And then we threw in the original Nintendo video game system and talked about some of the originals there. We did 80s cartoons in January, as well as Family Game Night, which was fun. Talked about old 80s game shows, board games, etc. That was fun. We did 80s sitcoms back in February. A little bit of 90s sitcoms, too, and some from the 70s that went into the 80s. We did game shows was on May. Board games was back in January. And Star Wars toys along with game shows on the May 15th. 80s one-hit wonders, gross toys, and wild cartoons of the 90s. That was our last episode. And we also tested you guys on what we should do for one forward. And you guys voted for the Simpsons exclusive. So we'll be doing that in the near future. But one of my favorite toys when I was a kid, Super Nacho's specialty. So we'll be bringing him on in a second. We did talk about He-Man briefly before. We're going to talk a lot about it tonight. So I welcome you all in. We got Wally in the building. Great to see you. Monstar in the house. Yes, we will be talking about candy later on, and that's always a blast. Retro candy tonight from the 80s. A lot of it that doesn't even exist anymore, so we'll have fun with that. There he is, Super Nacho's in the building. Be getting to him soon. Wolverine is here. Joe Amato's in the house as well. Big shout out to you, Joe. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, share it out. If you know other friends that are into old school games and toys and all the retro hodgepodge, send them our way, my friend. Juniper's here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Good to have you. Good to have you. We're going to get right into it because we're literally going to cover just about all the toys from 1982 on, because we are celebrating the 40-year anniversary of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And we'll talk a little bit about the comics, TV, movies, and video games with that. And then we have a little special thing for you football fans out there, you Marvel fans, a little segment at the end we're going to toss in that also ties into some of the retro stuff we do here, and I thought it'd be fun. So let's get down to business because I have the power. Okay, that's bad. All right, never mind. I did have a huge He-Man collection in the past. Now the only lone guy I have left is the original He-Man. I don't even have the correct sword. I have one vehicle and my Mr. Roboto over here as well. But domo arigato. Glad to see everybody here in the stream. And let's get down to business. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning, talk in depth a little more. I'm basically your host for this one. I'm a big fan of He-Man, but all the details, all the stuff that I don't know, I plan on learning a lot today because, like I said, Super Nacho's specialty. So it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a dork, and all that good stuff. The moron of steel, Super Nacho. Good to see you, brother.
I have the power.
Ah, you have the sword. That's where it went. Does the sword have a specific name or no?
It's just power sword, sword of power, sometimes sword of gray skull.
Name my vehicle. This one here. You mean Rotor, Roton? Roton. Yep. It's the only one that I have left. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't get rid of it. Yeah, Nacho has one up on me because I'm missing a cannon in the front. So with these retro, if I was trying to save it or something here or sell it, I'd need that piece. Just like the little hose for my Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, and
little pieces were so hard to get. I used to keep like a little container, a baggie, where all the GI Joe guns and stuff would go because I'd lose those shits in a minute.
Especially for like GI Joe and Star Wars size, those weapons are so tiny.
Yeah,
like a pistol for like a GI Joe guy, like those disappeared to shag carpets.
That's the benefit of the He-Man, along with like I compared the form factor to those Remco AWA figures that we showed on one of the shows. They're pretty much the same pieces, same look, same size exactly. So those were great. And
they advertised Remco figures as plays with He-Man.
And the additional stuff was a little bigger and a lot of cool stuff. We're going to get really in depth to it. But first, we're going to take a look back into a little commercial. We have some commercials throughout the night here. We're going to have fun with it. Of course, we'll talk about some origins and we'll get into more of that. So let's start off with a little commercial here. And we'll get right into He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This toy comes with something that can really open up a kid's imagination. Its own legend.
He-Man! Skeletor is his enemy.
It's the Masters of the Universe collection. And for my kids, the legend begins here with Castle Grayskull.
It holds the powers of the universe.
He-Man, Skeletor has captured Castle Grayskull. We must stop his evil power. To Grayskull!
Defeat He-Man's forces, but leave him to me.
Here I am, Skeletor.
He-Man! Skeletor is getting away!
But Castle Grayskull is safe with us. Nothing's safe while Skeletor is out there.
And so the legend continues in this Masters of the Universe collection. And in the imagination of my kids. Look for it. It's new. From Mattel.
That one found that commercial.
Takes me back. I mean, I'm one of those guys that would literally set up all the good guys in the vehicles and, have Snake Mountain on the other side, Castle Grayskull here, and have a war with them right there in front of me.
Right on the floor, yeah. That commercial was actually done by Filmation before the Filmation cartoon even.
Wow. And that's, I forget what year was on that one there, but we're going to dip back in and start from
83-ish.
We're going to start with 1982 and go all the way back to some He-Man origin. All right, got to make sure I get the right slide up here. I got a bunch of freaking slides. We got Chad in the house. We got Walter. There's Chad. My bad, Chad. There's Wally. Daniel Barry as well in the building. Great to see everybody. So let's get into it. Here's our first little slide. He-Man Masters of the Universe, one of my favorite toys as a kid. It's kind of weird. I explained this before. I remember the yard sale where I sold them all. Some lady bought literally almost my entire collection. Now I had some aside I wanted to keep, but I'll never forget it. But for some reason, it was $88 that I sold it for. And I was just so happy to have $88 back in, late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, that was a fortune for a kid back then.
So it is the 40th anniversary. And I just found this the other day that they had released a 40th anniversary figure here. I mean, any details about this or anything? Obviously.
Yeah. Well, they actually have done two versions of it. One was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive this year, and it came with a 40th anniversary of Skeletor with recreations of the original 2 mini comics that came with them. And He-Man had flocked loincloth and part of his boots, and their weapons were all metal. But the version that you're showing right now, we're going to get later on, I think later on this year.
Oh,
cool. In the Masters line, which that's basically a collector's line now. And, a lot of collectors don't like it because they want classics back. But
yeah. I've seen even when I was doing my little toy hunts for wrestling figures or whatever, cards or whatnot, that I've seen probably 3 or 4 different style of He-Man boxes of toys. So it's like, I know there's a lot of different runs out there. And we're going to go way back to the very beginning of the ones here in a minute. We have a couple of slides here to talk about back in. What are these things all about?
So these were the original sculpts that Roger Sweet did. Because to really give the full story, we have to go back to 1976 and a sci-fi property that you've probably heard of called Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit.
Now, Lucas, he shopped that license around to every toy company he could. And what people got to remember is back in this time, sci-fi was kind of dead. Mm-hmm. Star Wars kickstarted that again.
True.
But Mattel, like almost every other company, passed on it because sci-fi traditionally wasn't a seller. And then after Star Wars, became the phenomena it is, everybody scrambled trying to come up with, either getting sci-fi properties or like it. So his original idea for it was something more like Barbie, where you had a basic generic hero that you could buy outfits for and fit them into any situation you want. So, that's why you got the guy dressed like a tank, the barbarian, this rocket dude, which they did make all 3 of those figures later on in the classics line.
Sweet. Very cool. Very cool. Blaise fan is here. Yeah, those are, I remember the Conan or the Barbarian and stuff like that back in the day, and trying to get that type of figure that you see a bunch. Beastmaster is one of my favorite TV movies that from back in the day. Really enjoyed that. So there's a lot of similar to that. Like I said, I don't know a lot of the details. I was a fan of He-Man. It's one of my favorites. Transformers, He-Man, Spider-Man. Not necessarily in that order, but I can't wait to learn some stuff, go really far back into I never saw these things before. So, I mean, it's cool to find out where some of this stuff came from. Now, what's Torak all about? I mean, you can see the resemblance of He-Man.
This was a sketch by Mark Taylor that Roger Sweet saw and was kind of inspired to do at least the Barbarian style.
Yeah,
that was the sketch he had sitting on his desk, hanging on his desk, whatever, that, had been there for years, and they saw it, and, that kind of sparked, because there's a lot of argument about who actually created He-Man. Mm-hmm. And it the best I can tell is it seems like it was kind of a collaboration of Roger Sweet and Mark Taylor, Mark Taylor with the designs and Sweet with the sculpting.
Very cool. Very cool. There's Jay Vulture in the house. Good to see you, Jay. So just a few things here to start us off, talk about the past and get towards the future more here. So another drawing here where you can see definitely He-Man-ish.
Yeah, getting a lot closer to the He-Man we know. Basically you take the helmet off and he's pretty much the He-Man we all know.
Yeah, that's true. Sword instead of axe.
Well, originally the storyline didn't have He-Man and his friends using Castle Grayskull as their base. It was something they fought over. Mm-hmm. That's why that flag has 2 different sides.
Okay.
It's like capture the flag kind of thing.
Yeah.
And neither of them actually had the sword. They were fighting over it to try to get it because that's the key to the castle, and the castle gives you all the power.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, like
Very
originally, and there was no Prince Adam in the beginning. He-Man was a barbarian that came out of the jungle and decided to, you know, kick Skeletor's ass. You know?
Gotcha. Yeah, see these things, and that's like same thing with comics. I didn't really read comics or collect them to that extent, but I love the artwork. I love the drawings because, I mean, as a graphic designer back in the day, I was only good at abstract drawings. I couldn't draw people or animals. I mean, I could try, but I was never good at people or animals, and that kind of held me back. But I always, you know, did logos and abstract stuff like that, architectural drawings I love doing. But these things blow my mind when I see detail, you know, things like that. And you can see definitely, like Nacho said, where that come from. I saw this the other day, and I figure, you know, you're looking at a little bit of past and the future. What is that on the bottom? Like, do you know exactly what that is?
Yeah, actually, Ivy has every figure from that line. That's the new Netflix CGI series.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a complete reimagining, like a reboot right from the beginning. It's not that bad. I mean, there's some stuff that I nitpick, but overall, the animation is really solid and the writing is decent. I mean, you know, it's definitely written for kids. You know,
I did see that on the old TV and the old boob tube, but I never watched any of the episodes. I wanted to basically run it by you first if it's worth it, number one, and go for it. The one thing I could see right off the bat I don't like is the big H on his arms and stuff like that. But
yeah.
the Orko looks really cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah, he's a robot in that series, actually. That's
cool.
He's got like this memory core of the original Orko's memories, and he thinks he's the real Orko for a while.
And I've talked about this before on the podcast here. I'm not one of those traditionalists that really likes to say it's not that way in the comics, or, you know, I believe in evolving these characters over the years. Like when the movies started coming out for Marvel and DC, a lot of people were super critical of them. And I get it, but you know, I'm always one like, you know what, if something's made in 2022, it's going to be a little different than it would if it's made in, well, 1982, for instance. And
yeah.
we see that right there.
I try to take any of these reboots as for their own merits. I mean, obviously, you know, for He-Man, I'm going to compare it to Filmation because that's what I grew up on. But
yeah,
you know, I try to take them all on their own merits. Like, I'm not even going to get into that Kevin Smith garbage.
Yeah, I just like reintroducing these old favorites, keeping them alive, and bringing new generations into it. Like, after the first 3 Star Wars movies. For how long was it like, that's it, we're never getting another one, they're probably never going to make them, you know?
Yeah,
they got them written, and I'm like, I when I was a collector seller and everything, I go to all these malls and flea markets and stuff, and I specifically remember finding a table in one of these little malls in Indiana when I lived out there that had all the stray Star Wars figures, couple in boxes, some vehicles in boxes, which are really high priced, and they had scripts for the other movies, not 1, 2, or 4, 5, and 6, but 1, 2, and 3, and 7, 8, and 9. And I was like, what are those? You know, and they were like, well, there's other parts of the saga that may or may not ever get released. And I was like, that's pretty damn cool. And I never really got to read it, but I was like, I knew there was other parts to it, but I like when they bring these things back and let us enjoy, especially like for people who have kids and grandkids, to let them, you know, enjoy it as well in their own way. It doesn't have to be the freaking same.
Yeah. You
So
know, that's the beauty of, like, you know, Ivy's just as big into He-Man as I am, but she likes totally different elements of it than what I do. I mean,
but the toys is what did it for me. That's what kickstarted me and most everybody. So let's get into the lines of toys are going to start at 82 and come up and look at. I mean, these, just going through these brought back a lot of memories because I don't remember anything. I'm old. I don't remember a lot of this stuff. My so-called He-Man card, if you want to call it, it's been going for a while. I can't remember shit, but this stuff just brings back so much. I could literally close my eyes and see the two forces ready to fight in my old room, and always had to creatively use cardboard or make a bridge or something that wasn't one of the actual toys. But let's get to the toys, man. This is the meat and potatoes of today's podcast, but right after this commercial.
We'll return after these messages.
Who's the big guy with the muscles?
He's He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Skeletor is his enemy.
Here's He-Man, Skeletor, and Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together.
You're doomed, He-Man.
Oh, yeah? Watch this action, Dad. Now I have the power.
He-Man and Skeletor each sold separately. Castle Grayskull also sold separately from the Masters of the Universe collection from Mattel.
It's so funny to me still how different those two commercials are. So
That guy with the muscles.
yeah, it's just like you go from a serious here, this is what this shit's all about type of commercial to a hey, let's clown on it and have some fun with it. So I showed it before, my original He-Man. Now I don't have the original sword. You showed off that one, but I do have these two. Maybe you can bring to light whose swords these are.
The purple one is Fisto's, and the red one is Prince Adam's.
Ah, there you go. So I did find these, and I was like, these are definitely He-Man, because I still have, even though I don't have a lot of my figures, I still have a few in a box that has just a bunch of remnants of He-Man, Star Wars, Transformers, and whatnot. And it's kind of wild because if you're missing a piece or a part, you can literally find those out there on eBay and such. Because I'm looking for the right arm to Optimus, because I have my original Optimus Prime, but it's missing his right arm. I'm hoping to find that. There we go. Let's go.
And with a lot of these retro lines, the weapons and stuff end up being just as expensive as the figure.
Well, it makes sense. And I mean, back to collectibles in general, when I talk about the cards, I was first and foremost with sports cards, but any of those things, condition and rarity are probably two of the top things for any of them, especially now when they become, antiques almost, not technically until they're 100 years old and such, but someday, not in our lifetime, but they could. Of course, the original He-Man, and yeah, you're right. He does have the axe as well. I forgot about the shield.
Yep.
The iconic He-Man. What can you say about it? I mean, it's
that's
just
what comes to mind when you say He-Man right there.
Yep.
Most people think of that figure in particular.
Like I said, mine's a little dusty, a little scratched up with over the years, and like I say, you don't really think about. It's been 40 years since these toys. These are the original line, 1982 here. Battle Cat.
Yeah, you got to have Battle Cat if you're going to have He-Man.
Yeah, I can still, like that in our intro when they shows the toy store with all the toys, I could still put myself back. And we had one called Circus World here, which literally was floor to ceiling toys. And it was just like nowadays, because of collectors and stuff, there's a lot of empty shelves and stuff, especially for the ones that are, retro or rare, or those ones you've 1 in 1,000 and all those ones that are out there as well.
That's because with collecting, you end up getting the scalpers that go in and clean out the store completely of all good stuff,
Just like just like cards, I say the old thing, it started with collecting, then it turned into investing because you knew some of it can be worth money, and it's a lot of gambling now. So if you find the right chase figure of something, you could be into a couple $100 off of something that just got put on a shelf, and that's crazy to me. Sometimes thousands. Atticus is in the house. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Jamar Games. Welcome in.
Yet if it's unopened, like if the box is sealed, even if the box is dinged up, that'll be worth some money, Atticus. Like,
I've seen people selling just the box or just the paper that came inside that had like the mini catalog.
Yep.
You'll find that stuff on eBay too. It's like anything that came with that stuff. And once again, the rarity of it, like how many people kept the little catalog inside. So it kind of makes sense. The rarity and the availability of it. So Man-at-Arms, right-hand man there.
Yeah. Notice he doesn't have the mustache like the cartoon.
True. Very colorful character, though. And that's what,
Great
draws all the characters. You'd think deep down like this would be dingy, dirty type. No, these are colorful toys that just scream at you. Come play with me.
And a lot of that, I think, is the Jack Kirby Fourth World influence, because Mattel had the rights to do a line based on Jack Kirby's stuff, and that line, for whatever reason, got canceled, and a lot of that stuff kind of made its way over into He-Man. And I think the bright colors, like, it's definitely a Kirby influence.
Cool. Oh, by the way, Atticus, for $20, I'll take that off your hand and tell you if it's worth money down the road. Man-at-Arms, definitely a true get if you are starting to collect. And I was one of those guys too. I wanted to collect as many as I possibly could. Like when a new line came out, I'm like, I want to get all three. So here we go. Another one coming up.
There's actually two versions of three actually.
Okay.
So that the version you're showing now with the red wings and the blue harness, that's the most common one, and the one that made its way onto the Joe hates Stratos. But yeah, there's actually three versions. The one that's on now is the most common. That was, what they based the cartoon version on. Then there's a version with the colors flipped, blue wings and a red harness, which was the first version, and then
is that on this list or no?
I think so. The last one
there you go.
I actually have both of those. The version I don't have is this with a blue beard.
Gotcha.
That was actually the first release of them, and Stratos was a really confusing character until the cartoon because they list him as a good guy on his package, but in the mini comics he was shown as being a bad guy at first. Like they were kind of confused about where people were what side they were gonna be on. I think when they were making the comics.
Now that I look at him a little more, I don't like him either. Screw that guy. Get him out of here.
He's one of the most boring figures. Like,
he's easy to hate.
Weapons.
Okay, now let's get into the females. We got one here, Tila.
Okay, now Tila's kind of interesting. Before the Sorceress, they had a character called the Goddess that filled the same role.
Okay.
And with the snake armor on and the staff, you got the Goddess. You take the armor off, and now you got Tila. So she was kind of a twofer. She was meant to cover two characters at once because the thinking at the time was the little boys didn't want girl figures, you know.
But, holy crap! All of Bluebeard goes for over a G. My goodness.
Yeah, he's rare. So like, you know, there's a variation of Man at Arms with like the dots on his helmet painted. That's also from the first run. That's worth way more than a regular Man at Arms.
That's crazy. That's like I think I was talking to Vince McSham on one of his podcasts, and I showed him my original Luke with the extendable arm, and he reminded me, and I forgot there was a tip on that. And it's so hard to find one with the little tip on it because most people just break it off.
But yeah, that and the translucent plastic they used for those sabers is really brittle, so it breaks down over time.
True. And you get yellowing in a lot of these things, even in the boxes, if you don't protect them.
Yeah. Now, Zodak is the only character that's not on a faction.
Gotcha.
He's actually meant to be neutral, though at first they had him as a bad guy too.
I mean, if you think about it, they look like the AWA wrestling characters, but the idea behind these is heel, face, good guy, bad guys, factions within each. They have their little cliques, their groups, their tag teams and stuff like that. So there are ones that match up. So it's very interesting. I mean, maybe the guys who was creating these figures were wrestling fans too at the same time. It would make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very wrestling comic book kind of thing. Like, where you got your good guys, you got your bad guys.
And for those out there watching, I did try to arrange these pictures in each year, the heroes first and then the villains. So heroes, hero vehicles and such, and then villains and villain vehicles and such. But like you said, some of them blur lines and some of them could go either way or didn't portray exactly one side or the other. I love the damn vehicles that He-Man had, man. They had some really cool vehicles. Yeah,
and I love that with the new Origins line, they're remaking a lot of them.
So I did have this one. I remember back in the day, and if my memory serves me right, that anchor comes off on the front, and you could latch onto shit and then wheel it back in with that front.
You spin the horse head, and it would winch it back in. Yeah, that's a quintessential vehicle right there. I mean, it appears in so many episodes of the cartoon. If you're gonna have just a base collection, that's one of the vehicles you 100% need right there.
Orko is definitely a big fan favorite. Very likable character as well. So it's funny too, because watching these, I didn't realize that it was split 82 and like 83 stuff. I thought that they would all have been in the first run, but really splitting them up. Now I told you, I'm a big fan of He-Man, but I didn't know any of these freaking details. So I'm learning a lot. Battle Ram, did this thing come apart or something?
Yes, actually the front comes off, which I have the Origins version to kind of show you. That front piece comes off and becomes the Sky Sled.
Aha.
Which, everybody's still pissed that they didn't make the full Battle Ram and, instead threw Prince Adam in with that thing.
Whisper.
Which means if you want to army build it, you're stuck with a shit ton of Prince Adams.
If anything, this type of stuff really brought out, I think, my creativity, my imagination too, because I was the specific person didn't always sit on Battle Cat, or sometimes the bad guys would steal Battle Ram or take a different vehicle. Like, you do whatever you want with it, man. That's the beauty of it. And it was such an in-depth line of toys. You don't realize it until you look back at it piece by piece. Like, it's the iconic Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, greatest play set in the history of toys, in my opinion.
And you know what? Look how simple it is. It's a dollhouse. It's a dollhouse.
It's not even that, really. It's a shell with like 2 floors, you know. Like,
Yeah, but the idea I'm thinking of those old school dollhouses that are just a front, a back, and different levels on the other side. So the idea, I guess, of like a dollhouse, but obviously looks a lot more badass. And I loved pretending there was a moat around it. I had to make sure it really was a moat, and the different levels. So Castle, like you said, probably, if not the most iconic playset ever. Yep. And then the villains. Here we go. We got Skeletor, of course.
My favorite character right here of the entire series. Skeletor is my guy.
He definitely was king of the bad guys.
And he just looks awesome.
Yep. Iconic as well. Just like when you said, when you think of He-Man, you think of He-Man, but if you think of anything else, it's definitely Skeletor.
Like, it almost seems like Skeletor is sort of transcended to where, like, people are more familiar with him than He-Man at this point. I mean, some of it's all that, you know, the memes and then if you actually watch the cartoon, he never once says the closest is like when he'd grown at is like, you know, the Allies or whatever, you know. Hey, like, he never actually did the meow, which that's something Joe and I have gone.
You get one of those viral videos, though, it could bring anything back and make it even crazier. Okay, Beast Man. You got Man at Arms, so this is pretty much the right-hand man of Skeletor.
Yeah, which he was actually originally going to be the leader of the bad guys before they hammered everything down. The original draft of it was Beastman was going to be the main bad guy.
You gotta have your assassin next to the leader of the bad guys, man. And that guy I would not want to fight in a dark alley. Now this guy, remember, talking about colorful again. I always thought it looked like he was holding freaking corn on the cob.
You know, that's what people call a sword. On the top corn.
Same thing with his chest plate. It looks like a part of a corn on the cob, but
it really does. But
Beatles, there he is. What's happening?
Such a fun figure, though. Like I loved Merman. Like I still wish that we'd gotten the head.
Merman do?
Yeah, I still wish we had gotten the head that they showed on the art instead of that head. But
he looks frightened.
Yeah, actually,
not very intimidating, Merman.
Get that head later.
I gotta take a shit. Where's the bathroom, Merman?
we did eventually get the head I'm talking about on the 2000X version of He-Man.
Yeah,
like that head is way more badass and
definitely a little more scarier as well. Yeah. The more intimidating Merman. There he is. Brooklyn Joker's here. Good to see you, my man. Welcome in, everybody. We're just talking about we're still in the original 1982 line here, Merman.
Yeah.
We'll get into more here. Screech.
Yeah, which that's reused from. You ever heard of a toy line called Big Jim? You're about the right age that you may have had some of those. It was Mattel's answer to G.I. Joe, like, you know, big 12-inch figure with multiple costumes and stuff, and Battle Cat and Panther, actually, the mold for that came from Big Jim also. It was a tiger that came with like an explorer outfit.
My buddy's dad, we called Big Jim. That's about it. That was our buddy. Elfie, there she is. Yeah, the chest plate was definitely better in the other one too. But like I said, the colorfulness, and you get it. Same thing with Screech. Look at the colors. It's very, it's eye catching, is what these toys were. They were not bland at all by any means.
No, and those hooks on his feet could hook onto the figure's shoulders.
Oh yeah, true. That's true. That's true. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could latch them on, carry someone away. True. And anytime you got a bird that could shoot friggin' lasers. 1983. See, I would have guessed if you would ask me nowadays that the first line was a lot bigger, just because I had so many. But now that I think about it, it would have been like a Christmas or a few Christmases before I would have been able to get. Because that was my biggest collection. Transformers, they didn't have as many. Plus, they were a little more expensive. But Ram Man, I know you can push him together and he sprung out.
Yeah.
Bastard.
And they portrayed him as a complete idiot in the cartoon, which that's part of the charm of the character. But that was one of my least favorite figures as a kid because he really didn't do anything. His arms went like this.
Just sprung. That spring shit. Yeah, that's it.
I was happy to have him because he was a core character in the show, but as a toy, he was one of my.
It's always good to turn him sideways and make him spring out and knock people over and stuff like that. So, an interactive, something a little different than the other figures. So,
Yeah, and that's a big part of the line is every figure had some kind of action feature, whether it was
One of
just
my favorites here.
the spring punch. Yes, Manny
One of-
Faces is amazing.
One of my favorites.
You know,
I mean, it speaks volumes. I mean, you could probably write a novel just on the fact of a man who has like 3 different personalities and his head spins around. I mean, very colorful again. Many faces.
yeah,
Good name.
And if you look closely at his body, you'll notice something later on when we get to Trapjaw. From the waist down, he is Trapjaw.
Oh, really?
The Masters of the Universe was the king of reusing parts. Like,
Yeah.
most 90% of the figures are only like 3 or 4 different bodies.
Yeah. And it would make sense if you think about production and saving money back. If you go to the business end of it all, if you can mass produce as many that are similar and just make small changes to identify, I'm sure.
Just different accessories, different head, different armor, and they even reused a lot of the armor and accessories too.
Yeah, how can you free Many Faces is a great one.
Such a great
Zor.
Yeah.
The names are all reminiscent. I mean, if you haven't figured it out already, they pretty much tell you a lot about the
Masters of the Universe names are very, very on the nose.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like, oh, you're a spider dude? We'll call you Web Store.
Now, did Zor latch onto people too? I see the same similar claws. Did Zor latch onto people too?
Yeah, it's actually same exact toy as Screech, just different colors. Yeah. That's all it is.
Zor, great name.
Which originally Zor was not the sorceress transformed into a bird. Because, like I said, the sorceress didn't really exist. It was a whole separate character.
Definitely a very cool vehicle here, attack track.
Yeah, and it's hard to find one of those with the treads still in good shape or even still there. Like, you could see the one in the pictures missing treads.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if I didn't misspell one of these as I went through them because I was flying and there's a lot. So if I do make a mistake, I'm sure the chat and everybody will point it out. But
no, believe it or not, that is how it's spelled.
I may have. I'm just in hindsight, I may have. I had this one too. I do remember this.
Yeah. Now the big thing with that I always liked is that the top half of that, like I have it, like the top half of it pops off and will attach to your Castle Grayskull on one of the towers to make it taller.
I never knew that. And it does, now that I'm looking at it, it does look like something that would match up to Castle Grayskull. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got these little, you see the tabs on it? They fit perfectly in the
any type of modulating and modifying things like that. Transformers were my number one if you ask for toy wise. He-Man with a very close second. So any things that do like that and come together, Constructicon type stuff, Voltrons type stuff, really. Evelyn, of course.
Yeah, another character you gotta have, and if you look at her, you can tell she's just Tila with different colors and a different head.
Very, very prominent in the cartoons as well.
Yeah, I mean she was Skeletor's number 2.
I know. And the Faker.
Yeah.
So this was an evil He-Man. Is this a clone or
something? It was a robot that Skeletor built. Like, where's mine? If you take his armor off, this is the Origins one, but its Origins are basically copies of it.
Thank you, Wally. I was preparing for my bad spelling at some point. I mean, most of them, they were labeled as that character. Oh, okay. Now I kind of remember. I'm sure I had this one, but I just can't remember anything. Like I said, I'm here to learn stuff all over again.
Yeah, he was basically just, an evil He-Man, like how Skeletor expected to fool anybody with a blue He-Man wearing orange Skeletor armor.
Maybe it was really cold He-Man or something.
You just got to stand in the shadows all
same
the time.
thing with the sword, pretty much the same sword, but different colors that people held. So once again, production back in the 80s was nothing like it is today. So that made sense to do that. And there's Trapjaw. You look at his base, different colors, but same legs.
Yeah, same arm too, like his regular arm is same arm as Manny.
Yes, sir. I can see that now. Yes, sir. Just different colors on the leg plates and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely love Trapjaw.
Very cool one, yeah.
Favorite bad guy. That's my son's favorite. He used to steal mine as a kid all the time to play with.
And of course, speaking of modifying it, you take the tip off and you got 2 other ones right there on his hips. So you slap on there and create different weapons for him, which is very cool.
Yeah, he had a pincher claw, a hook, and a gun.
And it looks like you can make him repel with his little hole in his head.
Yes, that's a hidden feature that a lot of people didn't know about. You could put a string through his head
and have him
I
zip
used to
line
do that all
down
the
and
time.
hey.
To yell at me because I'd have string all over my room.
Triclops.
Yeah,
Another very cool
love
one.
Triclops. And mine still has functionality. His head still spins for
Little
the
different sword though than the standard He-Man sword. So it's not like they only had one sword in 30 colors. So there were
Right.
variations. This is a little
So-
different sword.
That Fisto sword you were showing in the beginning. It's just Triclops' sword in a different color.
Aha! Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yep, same exact sword.
Yes, it is. Triclops. So we're in 1983 here. We got Panther.
Yep, with
The
the
material is definitely something that stuck out with me on this one. It wasn't just plastic. It was like
he's what they call
velour.
flocked, and that flocking, like if I pulled mine down, I could show you, like it wears away. Like there's
I was just going to say that probably falls apart after 30, 40 years, but
yeah, especially the painted eyes, like are one of the first things to go usually in what I've seen.
Talk about differentiation and something a little different. We talked about with Wrestling Days when I did my interview with him, as he's a toy hunter for wrestling figures, the difference between some of the plastic gear that wrestlers would wear or a real cloth one, which the cloth one's really made. So I like the differentiation in the stuff that they're wearing or the stuff they're made out of. That's definitely, this is different than all the other ones.
Oh, definitely.
But definitely Panther is badass. 1984. Good album, Van Halen. And there you go. There's Adam.
Yeah, and they finally put out Prince Adam because of the cartoon.
There is his sword. You got it right. I have the real He-Man, but I have Adam's friggin' sword. Close enough.
Now, Adam and He-Man's swords are exactly the same, just different colors. Same thing with Faker and Skeletor.
Now the battle armor, the middle of him would spin and it would be damaged. I do remember this one.
Yep. See, now this was my first He-Man because my parents couldn't find the original. I didn't get original basic He-Man until they put out the 2-pack with Battle Cat.
God damn. But yeah, very cool. Like another cool feature that's different than any other ones. Did they have other ones that did the same thing, where their chest spun and were damaged?
Skeletor that did the same thing.
Yeah.
Which when we get my favorite Skeletor actually too.
Buzz.
Buzz off, yeah.
Yeah.
he could not hold that axe.
Definitely one of the most iconic ones. Orko, the little buddy.
Yeah, and he had a little pull string that would make him spin around like a maniac, which that's usually missing nowadays.
Good old Orko.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have guessed he was in the first line, but he wasn't.
Well, he wasn't created until the cartoon. He was created for the cartoon.
Once again, that's this sword again, just a different color.
Yep. Absolutely love Fisto.
Fisto.
One of my favorite figures growing up. I used to have him right there with He-Man, almost as strong as him.
This is one of my favorites. I don't know why. I think maybe my brother got one or something, but I had a couple of these for some reason. I had like 2 or 3 of them.
Such a goofy character, but that's part of his charm, I think. Like
also the chest plates that snapped on the front and back. I know I'd mix them up or put them on different people as well in variation.
Oh yeah, and that was part of the fun with them. Is the accessories and gear would fit on every other figure for the most part.
Rotate and let his head pop up.
Turn his waist instead of doing the spring punch. His neck would pop out.
There you have it, Mecha Neck. Very cool name as well. Cool glasses too, like Elton Johnish. Dragon Walker.
That was such a fun vehicle.
This one, it did walk. It swung around the front and it moved up and it swung around to the front.
Yeah, it would it would swing and then the back piece would swing
through. Very cool. Very cool vehicle.
Yeah,
like I said, the vehicles were not boring. This one's a little more boring of it, but a very cool little one to shoot shit across the damn floor.
Yeah, that was another one with the pull cord that would make it go flying across the floor. I remember
reminiscent of the old Evil Knievel that I had in the 70s that you would rev up and let go. That was very popular in the late 70s, early 80s with toys.
I used to like to set up bottles with that and launch it into it, knock them all over.
Road Ripper. Stridor.
Yep,
armored horse.
I'm actually proud. I just completed mine like a couple weeks ago. It took me forever to find his helmet and the tail, but my local toy shop actually had it in his parts box when I was digging through it. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta."
Animals with blasters, man, it gets me every time.
Yeah, I love Strider. Yeah, my
There's
favorite
the Skeletor with the battle armor.
my
Battle armor
absolute
Skeletor.
favorite
there.
version of Skeletor. That was my Skeletor for a long time, because just like the He-Man, my parents couldn't find the original Skeletor until the 2-pack with Panther. So for the longest time, my He-Man and Skeletor were the battle armors.
Oh, we got the birthday boy.
Happy birthday, Shifty.
Well, thank you guys.
Happy birthday, buddy. I just saw you. What's up? How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Just kind of hanging out with the dragon ladies and feeding them dinner. Kind of
Cool.
when you're trying to feed them sheep.
Well, I'm gonna. Wow, we got a lot of feed. I'm gonna bring you back in a little bit, buddy.
Okay, sure. No.
Yeah, Shifty's hanging out. Good stuff. I'm not used to having this many videos. I want to justify why I've left him in the back here for a little bit. I have like 6 videos up here, but I can't see Nacho and Shifty. And I did drop the link to a couple other friends they might stop by. But yeah, we'll be talking to Shifty here as well. Good to see him. Happy birthday to Shifty. Everybody in the chat saying happy birthday to Shifty. We're all getting very old out there.
Yeah.
Hey, age is just a number. Clawful, very cool one here. Makes you want to eat seafood.
You know, Joe Amato tells an awesome story about, like, he used to bring that thing with him to the restaurant and get crab claws and put it on the other claws so they would match. And like,
very cool. Now,
such a great figure.
If my memory serves me right, his head was very squishable. Like I know
Yes. a lot of those figures had hollow rubber heads.
Yeah, like the He-Man one has a little bit of give, but for some reason I remember that one being able to squish the shit out of it.
Yeah. He's another one. He's got, his one arm is the same as Buzz Off, so he can't hold his weapon either. But I mean, he's got a big lobster claw. What the hell does he need a mace?
True, man. He will cut your damn head off, apparently. Good old Clawful.
Yeah.
All right, watch your hands. Jitsu.
Yep. Loved him too.
Different sword there.
Yeah. A lot of his parts ended up getting reused later on. You'll see there's a character called Ninjor that has a gray version of that sword. King Randor uses his armor.
Yeah.
Now, I want to think Ninjor's head was Jitsu's head too, but I'm not 100% certain.
Very cool, very cool. Still to come, folks. We got a little special at the end with NFL and Marvel, and we also have some 80s candy we're going to reminisce here in a little bit and just have a laugh about it. Web Store. I knew a girl last name was Webster, but we also have that's not to be confused with the Webster from the TV show.
Yeah, it's not Emmanuel Lewis or whatever his name was.
Or any Spider-Man from the multiverse, but
he probably kicked most of the Spider-Man's asses. But, yeah, that grappling
hook
that actually worked, but that's something that it's hard to find still in working condition. Like mine doesn't even have the mechanism or the hook anymore.
I do remember a lot of toys in the 80s that shot things that got banned because kids were swallowing the pieces and it was dangerous and stuff. So I do remember that. I do remember some of that.
All the springs and the missile launchers so that people's eyes wouldn't get knocked out.
So I remember a lot of the toys would start out with stuff that shot, and I specifically remember a Battlestar Galactica toy that shot stuff. Then the next year, a version of it came out where it just kind of poked out; it didn't shoot. And I was like, "Oh man, they're ruining the toys for us." But sure enough, I mean, we don't want kids dying because they're swallowing. But hey, the pieces are small no matter what.
Another one I love, like take his head off, fill his body with water, and then you press the head down, and it's
Yeah, now it rings a bell.
Later on for a Skeletor variant.
A good bathroom toy for when you're in the bathtub and stuff as a kid. There you go.
Yeah, for bands for the legs.
Whiplash.
Another great figure. That tail is an issue now. Well, the rubber they used in it was not the best quality, and it breaks down a lot.
Gotcha. Mine's
still in reasonable shape, but
that's right, Elfie, and I still drink out of the garden hose. Damn it! Get off my porch, kids! Get out of my yard! Get off my grass! Get out of my lawn! There's good old Roton.
My favorite vehicle out of the entire series. I love this toy so much. I don't know
why I always call it Rotor, but close enough. Roton.
There is a character with a similar name later on, Rotar.
There you go.
I can see the confusion.
Very cool toy. Spins around. If we,
it's got a little wheel on the bottom.
We didn't really show the fact that, which is very cool. It's funny. I mean, For a 40-year, almost 40-year-old toy.
On the bottom that makes that all spin.
For a somewhat 40-year-old toy, it's hanging in like a lot of the toys that are that old. If you didn't, well, most people just throw them in boxes or crates and not really take good care of them or whatever. But to keep some of these toys in that good a condition, like I said, could be of value. Of course, Snake Mountain. And if my memory serves me right, did it make a noise or talk when you press the button or no?
The wolf thing on the right side is a microphone that comes off.
Yeah, okay. I knew there was something with voice to it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, mine's. You can't really see it, but in front of me and all around me, I've got play tables set up with like terrain and all the figures for Ivy to play on. So like I can grab some stuff, but I didn't want to pull down the whole shelf because we got pictures.
And it's very cool how both Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull, you could open them both up and sit them left and right. And I can just, like I said, I can still picture it in my head as you're seeing here. And then the Castle Grayskull as well. And behind it, this one didn't have as many compartments. That little stand on the top's pretty cool. And then of course, the little bridge in the front.
On the top, like a little disappointing compared to Grayskull because there's really nothing going on inside. It's more of a play set to just kind of shove up against the wall and use the outside.
Yeah, the look it's evil, it's crazy look in the eyes, the face, and something for the back. You could definitely tell that should be the bad guy's place. All right, Snake Mountain, baby.
It's a fun play set for how basic it is. Like,
yep. I mean, like I said, we got to keep reminding people we're talking about 40 years ago.
Yes.
Or 38, 37 now that we're getting into 85 here.
Yeah, Bashosaurus.
Oh, okay. Bashosaurus. Didn't label this one. I might have missed a couple of these.
Yeah,
very cool.
That orange button would make that big rock thing swing down, smash people.
Oh, I went way too far. Way too far. There we go. Oh, okay. Yep. I see now the lever. Thunder Punch He-Man. I found a commercial of Thunder Punch He-Man where he's showing it. He punches here and they feel it there. But I didn't download it. I saw it out there. It's one of the only other cartoons.
You remember the little red ring caps? You put them in his backpack, and then when you waist, it would make the cap go off.
Yep.
So like
Cap gun. Okay. So make a noise. Yeah. Very cool. Thunder Punch He-Man. Different. I like all not just one He-Man. There's my boy. Arigato. Good old Roboto. The see-through with the gears inside that when you turn them around, the gears move around. Pretty cool.
And his mouth goes up and down too.
Very, very. Yeah, it sure does. Good old Roboto.
Though that part tends to wear out over the years. Like mine just hangs open like in the picture now.
That's why I was checking. I was like, does it stay? Does it do it? Yep, it still does. Good old
A lot of people would lose. Like he has the same thing going on as Trapjaw, where his arm comes off, and he had a claw, an axe, and a gun. Very fun figure though.
Another one, like we were talking about, Panther. You got a different on top of the plastic, something different.
Yeah, because underneath he's Beastman, 100% Beastman.
Oh, there you go. Just has to. Yep. Now that I'm looking at it, yep, that's legit Beastman. There's Tito. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome in, buddy.
Really fun character, though. Fun figure. He kind of smells like kind.
Like I said, something a little different. Variations. All right. Next, we got Cyclone.
One of my favorite figures from that line. I loved him.
What did he? Did he have something in his chest that did something when he spun or something?
Yep. Let me pull mine down. Actually.
All right. Nacho got all these sons of bitches. He has almost every one of these things.
What he has is that little wheel right here.
Okay.
That was
he's yep. I guess now as soon as I saw that, now I remember him. I knew a lot of things would ring a bell.
That figure. Absolutely love him.
Good to see you, Chase.
A great fun character.
Yeah, Susie. Also, we were talking about, in production, like a lot of the swords are the same. The bodies some of the bodies are, like you said, with Beast and that guy, exactly the same. It's legitimately just different colors and maybe something else on it.
Yep. That's kind of the key to that line.
And once again, I keep reminding myself, we're not talking about the days of robots mass producing toys. It's a lot different back then.
Yeah. Big
Battle Bones.
Yeah. Now those little clips on his ribs. You could fit figures on him, and then his mouth opened up, and you could put all the weapons and stuff inside it. He was basically a carrying case.
Yeah, got it. I do remember.
On his back there.
I do. From the side, right? You put him in from the side.
Yep, and then
lock him in there, and they're all
the little bump on his spine there is a handle that you pick up and carry it around.
A very unique carrying case for your figures there. Nice marketing tool. I dig it. Plus, it's a thing in itself. Dragon Blaster Skeletor. Now, what did this thing do?
He's the one I was talking about where they reused the Cobra Khan gimmick. That dragon head on his armor would come off, fill it with water, put the head back on.
Oh, gotcha. Water Blaster Skeletor.
That's the only vintage Skeletor I still have. Like, I got it trapped on the rest of them.
He has a chain, for goodness sakes. Come on, people. You know,
well, the idea is that dragon's not attached to his armor. Like, if you look on the side and the back, you can see it's supposed to be sitting on his back. So, like, it's sort of like a leash because it goes around the dragon's neck. Like that one's not.
I see it. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Spikor, obviously.
Yeah, love him.
Now, do you have something different you could put on his arm that looks like it's removable, replaceable?
No, that trident thing would slide into his arm, so when you turn his waist, it would shoot out.
Oh, okay. And stab the hell out of people. Yeah, kill them all. Get him, Spikor. That mace he got in his right hand, he's going to dog somebody with that thing, man.
Yeah. And he just looks like a bad guy.
Too bad. Very cool one here.
Absolutely loved him. Like I used
definitely
to love him.
Not the same chest as the other characters. They're a different chest for this one.
Oh yeah, he's 100% fault.
Torso, I should say.
For his crotch piece there, and that's standard man crotch.
Standard crotch man here. Too bad. Obviously, too bad. Very cool character.
Yeah, he could punch himself in the face. He was great.
Stinkor, I do remember this one, and once again, I keep bringing this back. The clamp of the chest plate things that you could take apart and put on other people and such was a nice interchangeable part for a lot of them.
Which nothing on him is original, actually. He's got Mechanex armor. The figure underneath is Merman repainted. And then the shield came from Castle Grayskull.
Oh, geez. There you go.
Hi.
Hey. Hi, Ivy.
I was hanging with my friends. I'm just coming in to get some water.
Good to see you. We're talking about He-Man, you know. He knows a lot about He-Man.
Yeah, I asked her if she wanted to be on this week, but she'd rather play with her friends.
Hey, when you're a kid, be a kid,
Yeah.
Land Shark.
Another great vehicle. Like, you know, when you push. I've got
the jaws open, I think, or something. Yes. See, some of my memories coming back. Very cool. Very cool. Got a lot of toys. Is probably the biggest part of this one. Night Stalker, another horse like the other one. Just
it's the exact same horse, just different colors and no helmet.
Now this is different, not like any of the other pieces. Very cool.
That's not battery operated. Will walk. Actually, I don't have that one. That one's hard to find because those leg pieces. There's parts of it that are really small and brittle and break easily.
It looks like I would definitely break this one. I would break this one for sure. I don't think I had Spidor. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Evil Horde. And here's Hordak. So I do remember these in the cartoon a little bit.
They actually never were in the He-Man cartoon. They reused the Horde for She-Ra.
What were they in? Oh, it was a She-Ra cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay, because I do remember seeing these characters somewhere.
Yeah, they came out as part of
She-Ra. That's right. I watched She-Ra a lot too. That's right. I remember hers.
Yeah, they came out in the Masters of the Universe toy line, but the cartoon by then the cartoon was done. So a lot of He-Man characters ended up appearing on She-Ra, like, you know, Hordak and the Horde. You know, they were the main bad guys for She-Ra because for some reason the She-Ra toy line only had 2 bad guys.
Not an evil whore, Cougar. Horde. Quit twisting our words, Cougs. Good to see you, Cougar. Jetstrike and Arman True are here. Great to see you. Yeah, Spidor is pretty damn cool. Hey, there's Ignited Golden Freddy, too. Welcome, everybody. If you guys are enjoying it, make sure you hit that thumbs up. We're having fun talking about toys now. We're going to get more into He-Man stuff. And then we still have 80s candy, which I can't wait to go back and reminisce about with you guys. That one's going to be fun. And then something special for you football fans out there. So this was the leader of the Evil Horde, the first one, right? Hordak, right?
Yeah, Hordak was the leader.
And then you have Who knows?
Grizzlor.
He's probably Beastman underneath all that or something. Who knows? Right?
No, actually, his body is like the Horde is 100% unique sculpts for the most part. Like Grizzlor is weird and flat underneath.
But once again, a different cover, different skin, something different, fuzzball instead of just having all of them be the same plastic, which I liked.
Yeah.
And cool weapon he had.
Yeah, Leech was fun too.
He stuck the shit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suction cup for a head literally was a suction cup.
Yeah, his mouth would suction cup, and so would his hands. Like I used to stick them to the glass window on our front door and just leave them there for like weeks.
Leech.
He was. Yeah, his thing was the reason he had the suck thing was he was kind of like an energy vampire. He would like latch on to a dude like a leech,
cool.
and, suck their power away.
Mantenna, nice eyes.
Yeah, he's got a lever on the back. His eyes will stick out.
Oh, geez, there you go.
Very fun figure.
You can see him start to try to advance some of these. They are a little more detailed now. You can see as the years go by, they're adding a little more detail to them. You get more points of articulation for not any of these ones, but some of them are a little different points of articulation, I should say.
So Modulok, his deal was he popped apart. You could put them together however you want. He had 20 some odd pieces, different heads, different arms, different legs. So, you could take them apart and put, he was modular, hence
Very
the
cool. Very cool. Very cool. Like he's just like Chase saying, it's bringing back a lot of memories from back there. And this is not a vehicle, but the play set for the Evil Horde. Very cool looking. Did it do anything special except for having that little hideout?
Well, that door thing, there's a switch to make that jail door open. The monster thing is actually a puppet that you put your hand in.
Okay.
The rubber on that breaks down so bad it's really hard to find one of those in a reasonable condition. And then the
cool, very cool. Love how the toys just aren't. These toys have a lot of them have an interactive feature to them. Okay, 1986.
Personality in the sculpts too,
That's why it's so iconic. If it was a bland series of toys and stuff, it may have never taken off. If it was really plain and simple, if it didn't have all these extra features we're talking about and so many different He-Mans and so many different, unique features to some of these, is why we're still talking about He-Man 40 years later. One of the many reasons, I should say. Bagwell's here. More G.I. Joe, like I said, G.I. Joe, Transformer, He-Man were the three big ones for me. They really didn't have a ton. I had Spider-Man toys, but they didn't have a huge line of Spider-Man toys like they do nowadays. I had a Spider-Man van, I had the Spider-Man character, and maybe a couple guys. That's about it.
Yeah, really back then, if for superhero toys, you either had to hope you could find old Mego figures, or there was that very short-lived Secret Wars line that were about the size of a G.I. Joe.
Now this, obviously, the thing spun around on his arm, right?
He had a feature where you turn his waist and his arms do like this, and that would make that mace thing and part of the shield spin too.
Yeah, wrestling figures too. You got to throw that out too. Worst variant of He-Man, not a Flan of the Flying Fists. It does look a little awkward, a little different.
I have them, but my least favorite version.
I get the idea. I mean, once people continue to buy all these variations of the original He-Man, why not just keep trying? Back in those days, it was a lot of hit or miss.
It's his torso that I just can't stand the look of. Like, why not just give him, something that looked like the battle armor He-Man?
We saw Mecha Neck where his head spot up. Now we got Extendar, whereas it looks like his legs and his waist extend.
Yeah, his legs, his arms, his waist, and his neck. Loved him.
Turtles, another one we might have to. I'm not an expert at all on Turtles. My brother was the big Turtles G.I. Joe guy, but there's enough content to do an entire podcast on Turtles. We've actually had some of you guys out there ask for Turtles.
Yeah, well, Turtles is definitely good.
Another very cool one, something different here. Snout Spout, good name.
Another water squirter, except for his head didn't come off. He had a backpack.
I know we're not totally PG, but he's a squirter.
His deal was.
We are talking about toys, but we by no means are really like totally kid friendly here on the channel.
Yeah.
So This
We're
is an
only
adult
kid friendly when Ivy's in the room.
Yes, correct. We definitely honor when there's a kid around, but in general, now this guy looks like a porn star from the 70s. If we're gonna keep our, Magnum PI, me T-Man.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like a space cowboy marshal. His chest piece popped open, had guns in it. His legs popped open, had guns. His arms had guns. That backpack slides over his head. He's basically just a walking arsenal.
He looks like an arsehole. Basically, I will say it here. This one could have had a better name, I think, just in my opinion.
Yeah,
most
agree.
of them are great. Hey,
Not a big
Grinder
fan of
Gang.
him. Not a big fan of him overall.
Chance, you can join us if you want to for the candy or the football segment coming up. You, Cassie, and the rest of the Legion of Dork are all invited if you guys want to pop in and have a laugh with the candy coming up. I know Nacho's already said he never really had a sweet tooth. This is his specialty. I don't want to say it's my specialty for the candy, but we're going to have fun with the candy coming up. So, yeah, Ryo Blast, get a new name there, pal. But was he like a law enforcement guy or something? I see the star. Sheriff?
He was like a space marshal, kind of like. Do you remember the cartoon Brave Star?
Sort of. I didn't watch it, but I do remember when we did cartoons. I remember seeing that.
That was also done by
Brave
Mattel
Star.
in Filmation, and a lot of people try to squeeze them together and say Rio Blast and Brave Star were part of the same, space marshal.
I always go back to the Transformers. Remember how the GoBots were like? That's the theme back in the day. When something got a big hit, you can definitely count on some knockoffs coming up.
Yeah.
Well, get yourself some bow buns and get your bow buns in here and hang out with us. Now, this guy, did he fold down or something? And he turned into a rock.
Yep. There was two of them, which I have both. They would transform into rocks. So, their idea was they could turn into comets and
fly around to different planets and such.
Yeah.
All right. I think we may have the next one right after him. Yep. There you go. Stone Dar.
Which they never showed up in the He-Man cartoon because, they came out after the cartoon was done. So they actually show up in She-Ra. And that's their deal. They're like refugees looking for a planet they can live on.
Hey, there you go, Bagwell. We talked about how these He-Man figures form factor very similar to the wrestling figures. So, yeah, sometimes there would be a multiverse where wrestling figures and He-Man would coexist for me. And definitely G.I. Joe and Star Wars, too. I would mix those up every once in a while and have some wild adventures with those too. Blaster Hawk.
Yeah, that was another fun vehicle. It had these discs that it would shoot out of the mouth.
Yeah. Looks like a amusement park ride or something.
It does. It's strange. I like it, but it is kind of strange looking. It's a little more techy.
Rock-On's face looks like Vince McMahon a little bit. He does jet sled. Now, what's the thing on this one? You hooked in the chest plate hooked you onto this thing?
No, it was just extra armor that they threw in. The centerpiece would fold up so that the guy could hang on it.
Very cool. Jet sled. Laser bolt.
Yeah, which that one did show up in the cartoon. I want to think maybe the Secret of the Sword movie that one was in. That would fold up so it would be taller.
Mega laser. Now, is this just something that clipped onto people? I see the belt.
Yeah, these were just accessories that they sold. That had, the whole laser feature that a lot of movies had because lasers were big in the 80s.
Gotta have lasers.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. What are these?
Power tools. Basically stilts.
Okay.
No, that's the Stilt Stalker. Sorry. Power tools is a different. Yeah. Basically, the guy would stand in the top and.
See it now. I see it now. Yep. Cool.
Like we said earlier, most of the names were pretty on the nose.
Yeah. Here's the big one, Eternia. It's kind of like the what was it? The aircraft carrier. Was it G.I. Joe that had an aircraft carrier? It was like ginormously crazy. And Star Wars, Death Star, and a couple other things that were like these big, huge things. But Eternia, I believe you can see the characters on there look a little smaller. This was by no means a small playset.
Oh no, this thing is huge.
Yeah.
And it came out at the end of the line, so there's not a lot of them made, which means there's not a lot of them left. And, it was $100 toy, and like
I was just gonna say, I was trying to remember prices, like how much the figures were based against the like. I'm just guessing $10 or lower for figures, 20 or some for some of the vehicles, depending on how big and how much stuff they had. But this was 100. Like, you remember how much Castle Grayskull or Space Mountain were?
$20.
19.99 or 29.99 or
figures
something.
were 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Looked at, and what I remember, like $10 back in the day, you could get a couple of figures.
True, that's right. Yeah,
now you can't even get one figure for $10.
Yeah, really. Tell me about it.
But yeah, this thing was
same thing with cards. That's badass. It's just a lot going on. Once again, the colors definitely unique, and you can use your figures a lot of different ways in this, which I did.
Yeah,
always wanted one. Obviously, didn't have.
Like that track that goes around it. It had battery operated. The vehicle would go around the track.
Very extensive. The biggest toy in the line.
Yeah,
Terraclaw Skeletor.
Yeah, same gimmick as the Flying Fist He-Man. You turn his weight. And, those claws. I have him, but I don't have his claws anymore.
Now, I don't remember this thing at all.
I don't remember having it, but I remember, commercials.
Who's in there? Beast?
Looks like Beast Man, and he's got the weapons pack armor.
Evil Horde Drag Store. I don't remember this guy either. Nice crossbow.
He never showed up in the cartoon. He had one of them features where you pull him across the floor and, he'd go flying.
See, a lot of these last ones, when I was looking at the list, I'm like, nope, don't remember any of these guys. But, well, here's another Hordak.
Yeah, he had a wheel on his back.
I see the
hand spin.
Cool, very cool. The Trooper, Evil Horde Trooper there.
Yep, that little centerpiece, if you punch it, he would fall apart because he's just a robot.
I see. Yeah, there you go. Another very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Multi-bot.
Now, Multibot had the same feature as Modulock and was actually compatible with them. Like, you could put them together and make
different pieces. Okay, I can see how that would make sense the way it looks. Very cool. Antisaur.
That was Hordak's ride, like his answer to Battle Cat and Panther.
My goodness. Yikes.
Very cool.
Crabor.
Yeah, Monstroid was the US name. Crabor, I think, was European name. But he was battery operated. That center would spin. And
I think I did have the slime pit where basically that thing would open up and it literally slime would go. You put someone in there and slime them.
Yeah, and the directions even told you not to use like Panther, Moss Man, because it would ruin the flock.
True, yeah. Didn't even think of that.
Fun playset though.
Hiss.
Yeah, now we're getting into the Snake Man, which didn't appear in any of the cartoons until the 2002 reboot series. Like
the USS Flag, is that where I was the GI Joe
carrier from GI
Joe? Damn, Bagwell, big baller.
Yeah, Rattler had 2 variants, one with the neck paint red, and then one with the neck that color.
Very cool.
I think mine's the red neck.
Tongue.
Yeah, Tongue Lashor. I can see where like some of the names you got on him are the European names, but he had a wheel on his back that would make his tongue go in and out.
Okay, I see his tongue now.
I always thought he looked more like a frog than a snake.
Yeah, I see that. 87. Now I have no clue who this is.
Okay, now these only came out, Europe and I believe limited release in Mexico with Titus and his evil counterpart Megator. They were giants. They were like I think 16 inches.
Okay.
They were big.
King Randor.
Yeah.
Clamp. That's what I mean. I was like, I didn't know what these were, but very cool.
Yeah, these all came out. There's Cliff Climber.
That's pretty wild.
Another accessory pack that would attach to a figure. This is from the movie.
Okay.
The little dwarf guy would. Yeah. That's supposed to be the cosmic key from the movie. Looks nothing like it. Okay. These are the Meteorbs.
Yeah.
They actually weren't made by Mattel. They pulled a Hasbro and licensed a toy line from Japan of little eggs that would turn into animals and robots and stuff.
Yeah, I saw a couple of them in here.
Yeah, there's Rotar.
He's literally a top. He's a top.
Yeah, exactly. He was basically a top. And there's a bad guy counterpart. Like
for young kids that don't know what a top is, you spun it and it spins on its top.
You watch it spin.
Sorceress. Now this is a weird looking, completely different form factor. It looks like.
Yeah,
than the other ladies and such.
Yeah, and always strange to me that they waited so long to put her in the line. Such a core character, especially after the cartoon, that it just made no sense that she didn't come out until the last domestic line. Another Meteorb.
Now,
I was not a big fan of Meteorbs.
It looked like these guys just swallowed, the wrong fruit or something. They're all swollen. Why they so swollen?
Yeah, they just don't seem to fit in with
the blaster, artillery.
Yeah, that was another one with the laser feature on it.
Lasers.
Let's
remember a lot of those toys where you pressed a button and it made the laser noise and stuff like that, and from back in the days, or it shot something like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so the giants and the dinosaurs, there was a canceled brand refresh that they were going to do called Powers of Grayskull that was going to take it to the past and have He-Man's ancestor, and only some of the toys actually made it out. The giants, the dinosaurs, and that's really it. I guess the Snake Men were supposed to be the bad guys. Yeah, that's the Tower Tools.
Oh my goodness, very cool. Well, they really started doing some wild stuff with these characters. I dig it.
Yeah.
Another
one of the dinosaurs from the Powers of Grayskull.
Score, another one.
Yeah, more Meteorbs.
Another one with the swollen stomach. Pretty cool one here. I'm guessing it glue in the dark.
Yep. A lot of people were confused by that figure because it said Evil Ghost of Skeletor. So people thought it was supposed to be Skeletor's ghost after the movie because, he dies in the movie, falling down the shaft. But he's not, if you actually read the comic that came with him. He's just another evil guy that works for Skeletor.
Kelly, welcome in, Kelly. Good to see you. Good to see you. Closing out the toys now, getting into more. We still got a couple more different segments to go here. Blade.
Another figure from the movie, which is why he looks very different.
No copyright infringement back in the day with the names, I guess.
No.
Blast attack.
Yeah, he
was a squirter.
No, he had a figure where he would explode apart.
Oh, okay.
Fun figure.
Another squirter. There's another one.
One of those Meteorbs.
Okay, we talked about him earlier, didn't we? For some reason.
So yeah, almost all of his weapons actually were reused. Like I said, he had Jitsu sword. That bow came in gold with the Eternia play set. The nunchucks are new.
Very cool. He has all kinds of different stuff. Very cool character.
Yeah.
Sauron.
Yeah. And the last of the movie figures.
Gotcha.
Like he had a feature on his back where he had a flicker thing that would make the mouth spark. But that gold plastic is notorious for being brittle, and it's hard to find one.
See, I've only maybe watched the movie once or twice. I'd have to rewatch it, but I did like it. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that pick them apart too much. Those movies, I mean,
I like the top.
Yeah, another top, another Meteorb.
Yeah, I forget his.
And
name.
Another one.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a lot to say about them. I never liked them that
And
much.
another one. There's a lot of them. Well, they're part of the family.
Yeah, like I don't feel like they belong. Like, they weren't really made by Mattel. All they did was change the colors and names. Like they don't fit.
Yeah, see, that's, even though they were just tops, that's a pretty cool toy to Orbear.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, Joe knows the Meteor. I likes them, so I was never.
We got some more Evil Horde here. Buzzsaw Hordak.
Yeah, he would launch buzzsaws out of his chest.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He was a fun figure.
Mosquito.
Yeah.
Was he Hispanic or something?
Oh, he's a fun figure, actually. He's got a button on his back that makes the blood in his chest pump.
Ooh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah. He was cool. he was supposed to be like, a mosquito. So there's the other giant I was talking about, Megator. Now,
I'm allergic to him.
Fans dolls because they've got flocked hair instead of, melted hair.
He's disowning you as a friend because you don't like the Meteors.
Sorry, Joe. I don't hate them. I just don't think they fit.
Snake face.
He was fun. Like, you pushed
Very
him and his
straightforward.
eyes would pop out and his tongue would pop out and he'd have more snakes popping out of him. And he kind of had,
I love
in the
snakes
comics,
popping
he
out.
had like a Medusa thing.
It's
I love
something different.
His arms are like that rubber wire thing, so you can draw him. He was a fun one, but also doesn't look like a snake. He looks more like a crocodile.
Some kind of lizard. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, like I said, what's better than animals with lasers? Dinosaurs with friggin' lasers.
Yep.
And
he had a projectile that would launch out of his chest too, like this big orange wheel thing. Now, these only came out in Europe, which is why most American fans, until the dawn of the internet, had no clue they
I was going to say, I've never seen these. Very cool, though.
Yeah,
a lot more detail in the veins and stuff, and bones like things on Skeletor, obviously.
Yeah, and then there's two versions of this He-Man. That's the more Dolph Lundgren looking.
Yeah,
head.
okay, that does
and
look
then it
very
also
Dolph
had
Lundgren-ish.
the standard He-Man head, but both of them had light up features with the weapons.
That's so yeah. Oh, it's light up that way. The weapon. Okay, that's a little suspect looking sword. That looks a little different.
Yeah, that's why it's laser power He-Man, laser light Skeletor. Like the whole thing would light up. Like Skeletor was way cooler because like his eyes would light up, and then the one hand would light up, which would make the staff light up too. He-Man just had
evolving, baby. So we got all the way from 82 to 87 there, and we're going to keep it rolling. 88, my fault, 88. We're going to talk a little bit about comics, a little bit about TV and movies and video games here. Keep it rolling.
Definitely
so we'll go into our next. Now, I know it says cartoons, but these are some comics, and Nacho actually has these physical comics here. So any notes or details about these comics that the people need to know?
They were actually the first appearance of Prince Adam and the royal family.
So what year was this one?
Earlier, before that, the mini comics didn't have a Prince Adam and Cringer. There was no transformation. These comics had Prince Adam looking a little different. He had like a blue tunic, no pants, basically He-Man in a blue tunic. And he and Cringer would go to the Cavern of Power to meet with the goddess, and then she'd turn them into He-Man and Battle Cat.
Very cool. So yeah, like I said, I did not collect comics, and I don't think I had any Masters of the Universe comics to be. I mean, now what year? Do you know what year this one was?
What was it?
It was sort of about the same
December
time.
First issue was December 82. The third issue was February. But yeah, I've got that.
I really like that cover. There
yeah, me too. Very cool.
I like this cover a lot. Yeah, there it is.
And the third one.
Very cool. Very cool. So DC, there's the second one of the series, and a third one, I believe. There is a third one of the series.
Mini-series. Though they did He-Man's first comic appearance was DC Comics Presents number 147, came out in July 82. Then they did a little insert story that appeared in a bunch of comics, and both of those they had Superman show up and He-Man would fight Superman. It wasn't until this mini series that they stopped trying to shoehorn Superman in, and just
Very cool. I never knew that. Now here we have Star Comics, a Marvel version.
Star Comics was an imprint of Marvel that was kids comics, like Man, Thundercats, like all kinds of cartoon properties. Plus the Spider-Ham that everybody loved from Spider-Verse.
I do remember Spider-Ham.
Yeah, these were after the Filmation cartoon, and until the last two issues had a very Filmation-y feel to it, like a lot of the same elements, like the goofiness of it, the the transformation, way too much Orko.
Gotcha. So there's your meteorbs.
But a lot, because it came out after the cartoon, a lot of characters that didn't get to appear in the cartoon did appear in these comics.
Oh, gotcha. Very cool. So we learn about the meteorbs and that there. There's the slime pit.
Yeah.
We just talked about that. That's a very cool cover too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, 80s Marvel had great art. Even the kids' comics were decent looking. Like, the He-Man and Thundercats had pretty decent art for the time, especially for a comic line aimed at kids.
I've never hidden it that I did not read comics, but I love the artwork. That's what I was all about when it came to comics for me, like the cover and the actual artwork inside.
Yeah. As simple as that cover is, I love that. I
very cool. There's a lot going around on the outside.
Yeah, that was from one of the anniversaries of Marvel. So like every comic had that border going around it to celebrate all the characters. There's Monstroid.
Yep, there it is. Very cool. Very cool. So we're seeing some of the toys that I didn't know existed now in the comics here.
Yep. There's the Eternia playset in the Blaster Hawk.
Yes, sir. Six.
And a lot of them will look a little different in the comics because they were going off of prototypes or preliminary artwork. Yeah, so there's Ninja and Blast Attack right there. See how these Blast Attacks coming apart.
Yeah. So I need to know, because the question's right there, then who's that? Who is that?
That one I'd never had, so I can't answer that.
Down right says who's
that? Guess probably Faker or something, it looks like.
Maybe. Who is that?
Joe would probably know.
Joe, who is that, Joe?
that one I do have. That's the only Star issue I still have.
I dig that cover tremendously.
Very cool. It's they brought in some of the Snake Men in that issue. It was a fun issue.
Orko.
Orko messing up.
Hordak. See what else we got here. Ooh, what's that thing?
I have no idea.
That's evil alien with the brain popping out. That's a wild ass looking bad guy.
My area was hard to find comics.
Ooh.
Like other than like the big main ones, like all the major Marvel and DC stuff. So this is what I was talking about. The final two issues took a completely more serious tone in art and storyline. Like in this story, Adam loses the sword and gets transported to the future where Skeletor is taken over and there's like an old man Adam chained up. And at the end, they get the sword and they both turn into He-Man and kick Skeletor's ass. And then Adam goes into his time. But like much more serious. Like if the whole series had been that way, that comic would have been amazing. It kind of sucks that they didn't kick up the seriousness until the very end.
I like those two very cool covers.
Yeah. So now these magazines, like those were quarterly and they were amazing. Like you'll see with the artwork on the cover alone, and they had fold out posters, articles.
Nice.
They were basically meant to hype up the new toy line, the new toys coming out. So you'll see like, Evil Horde gets a big feature for a while because they were the new toys.
Well, it makes sense. Back in the day, magazines were pretty big.
Yeah.
For everything. Like we talked about, wrestling magazines is where you found out the top 10s and who won in the different territories. Sports magazines is where you found out a lot of the details. When there wasn't internet, these magazines were a lot of the information that now people just Google.
Yep.
It's kind of taken away the actual form factor of having a physical magazine. I don't really remember these magazines, to be honest, but it makes sense that they had them all. These are crazy. Very cool artwork.
I wish I still had them because they were so fun. Like, they had games and puzzles, articles, all kinds of
one on the movie.
Little comics in it too. Yep, they hyped the movie for that big time in that one.
Seen a lot of the toys and some of the stuff that we just went over.
Yeah.
Nice. She-Ra in there as well. Very cool stuff, man. I mean, that one is really cool.
That's a very cool cover. Like,
love that.
There's that Earl Norem art for most of them. What amazing fantasy artist. So much detail in his artwork. Like
that one might be one of my favorite pictures out of all these covers. I just really like it. Very, very,
very
cool.
cool.
Is that the last one? It says the last one. Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Matt Outlaw, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. We just finished with toys and we talked a little bit about the comics. We're going to push through. We got a couple more here. We got a little bit about TV and movies, but then we're going to get into some candy from the 80s and to just reminisce real quick. So before we get into the final two segments on He-Man, let's take a look into some of the commercials from candy from back in the day.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Thingamabob, gobbledygook, what's its face? Whatchamacallit, whatever it is, whatever it was. Chocolatey chocolate, whatchamacallit. How's it go? Wowzum do, chew gooey caramel. Whatchamacallit, doohickeys, you know what I mean. Peanutty crispies. Chewy, chocolatey, crunchy, too bad, let's get 'em a ring. More than a mouthful, it's whatchamacallit. Whatchamacallit.
I am not a peanut butter person, but I did like whatchamacallits for some reason. I don't know.
And don't the packages still look pretty much exactly the same?
Yeah.
I'm not a candy guy, so but
a lot of the candy that we're going to talk about does not exist nowadays, but a lot of them did still continue. So here's one for the lady.
A good hug is hard to find, and I hope this good don't come around all the time. Chunky is a hug, and a good hug is hard to find. Chocolate and raisins, nuts too. I'm talking about the right bite waiting for you. Chunky is a hug, and a good hug is hard to find.
Chunky, a good hunk.
Good hunk is hard to find. Let's just move right on.
Apparently, chocolate teaches you karate too.
Yeah, real terrible karate. Busting out the 8-bit music and keep it rocking. Here we go. Masters of the Universe. This is the iconic cartoon.
Yeah, so this is what everybody thinks of.
Yeah,
when,
that's,
be
honest, that's all I watched. I really didn't get into more different things. Like I said, I maybe watched a movie once or twice, but the cartoon was my stuff. That was what I was all about.
And it was 130 episodes. From September 83 to November of 85, I think 2 seasons.
It seems like there would have been like 10 seasons for all the content that, because religiously this is what I wanted to watch.
Yeah, because, it was Monday through Friday and Saturday back then, like 6 days a week, probably even on Sundays if you had the right channels, like you could probably still find it. I mean, it's not like it is nowadays where you got to hunt for cartoons. And it's all streaming services back then, after school, before school, Saturday mornings.
You knew what time it had to come on. You got your TV guide to find out as well. And there's most of the cartoon characters that I remember. There's all your good guys, all your heroes.
Yep.
That's a hell of a picture there, too.
That
pretty much sums it up. That sums up the cartoon in itself for me.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's the bad guy version of the same.
Cougar likes the Chunky and Elfie likes to watch McCall. Well, we got a lot more candy to talk about. You guys are going to remember coming up soon here. There's the bad guys.
Now, as you can see, like I was talking earlier, like a lot of the cartoon and comic designs were based on early prototypes. So Clawful looks totally different than his toy. That's him standing between Too Bad and Cobra Khan.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Completely different look.
Merman still looks quite confused. Doesn't look that intimidating, but there you have him.
Yeah.
Those are nice. I could see both of those posters back in the day would be up on my wall if I had them.
And then, the movie that introduced She-Ra and the Horde, actually.
I do remember that movie, man.
Yeah,
It's way back. See, I remember when Transformers did their animated movie too back in the day, which we didn't get the full CGI crazy superhero movies like we get nowadays. We got cartoon versions if we were lucky.
Yeah. That came out March 22nd, 1985. Like I said, introduced She-Ra, and then the She-Ra cartoon, spun right out of that. In fact, the first 5 episodes of the She-Ra cartoon are just the movie cut up into episodes.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. There's the Dolph Lundgren movie, of course.
Yeah. And Frank Langella as Skeletor, like, to this day, amazing. One of my favorite versions of Skeletor. Like, his look, not so much as his portrayal of the character. He just pulled off the menacing evil really well.
Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, click on this link, save it. If you're interested in some of our other podcasts from the first one, I set up a playlist of all of them from when we did our first one with Transformers and He-Man and Atari, Spider-Man, Nintendo, Game Night for games, board games. We did game shows, one-hit wonders, all kind of retro stuff. So if you enjoyed today's show, click on that link right there and save that podcast to watch whenever. And make sure to drop some comments and let us know what you want to do, what you would want us to do, some more retro editions of Legion of Dork in the future. Yeah, there's a nice screenshot there.
Yeah, Meg Foster as Evil Lynn was genius casting.
She was very good, very evil.
And she had the character down, and that I really hate the design for Tila, but Man at Arms is pretty accurate if you actually switch colors to the toy. He actually would look proper.
Yeah, like in the movie, you do get, like I said in the beginning, we talked about if this would have been a Eternia and all that, it would have been grungier or dirtier and old school, like medieval type stuff. So that's why I like it's not as colorful as the toys. Like to me, that brought more realism to it a little bit. I want to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah. My biggest issue with that movie is I really don't feel like they should have came to Earth. They should have stayed on Eternia the whole time and had more actual characters. But I get why, they didn't have the budget to go crazy like that. That movie had a lot of issues to where like they stopped production and started tearing down sets before it was even done.
What year was this movie?
1987, came out August 7th, 1987.
So it would be after the Superman movies?
Yeah, well,
the Superman movies were the first ones I remember that were legit superhero movies that we got, that were big market superhero movies, I should say. I'm sure there was a bunch of smaller ones. I was the big Spider-Man guy, and I watched that corny 70s show, and I loved it.
This actually came out 2 years before, the 89 Batman movie that jump-started the superhero craze.
Yes,
really.
That's what started the new wave of actual superhero movies that we know and love now, which has led to so many of them. And I love it. I love all of them. I don't get as critical. There's a couple I'd rather not put up with the rest of them, but I'm not as critical with all of them. I'm just happy to have them. Like when we were kids, we only got cartoons or cartoon movies. We didn't get as much of this stuff. All right.
Definitely.
Nice dip into the iconic cartoon and the movie itself. So we got a little more here. We're going to talk about video games before we get to the candy. So let's go ahead and go right into a little bit about video games. We mentioned it before, not a ton of them, but here's some. All right. So I know nothing about any of these video games. So tell me what you know, Nacho.
For the most part, the games that did come out, which there weren't a lot of them, were really disappointing, especially for the time. I mean, like this game consists of 3 screens. One, you were in the Wind Raider shooting stuff.
So this is the Atari game here?
Yep.
Okay. Man.
Yeah, like kids today need to see games like this to realize because You know, a lot of the games back then, your dude was a square, and you had to imagine it was whatever.
Yeah, it's like something I could make in Microsoft Paint or something. But
yeah, I mean, you know, for time, like, you know, it was groundbreaking.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Any of the game like back then, like I said, you got all kinds of games that anything. We talked about this in the first couple episodes. When something became a hit, it easily started. Not as much as today, but you started to see back in those days. You know, if it was a popular cartoon, you got that TV show, you got that movie, you got that video game, and it pretty much like when we did the Spider-Man episodes. The same thing here. You have Spider-Man that went nuts, and the next thing you know, you got these movies, you got these toys, you got these cartoons. I mean, the whole gambit is there. Same thing with Master of the Universe. You got a little bit of it everywhere.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about with, you know, the flying in the Wind Raider, shooting
it's
stuff.
Like Defender. Reminds me of Defender.
Yeah, very much like Defender, yeah. You would fly back and forth, killing however many until, you know, I think I could never figure out if you had to kill a certain amount or travel so far before you got to the next screen. Like, the game was confusing.
Yeah.
So this is the second screen. You got to make your way across to the end. You know, and those things would knock you back. And it was such a pain in the balls. Now, this one I never got to play. I've only seen video of it online.
You can see getting a little better, though. You can see a little more detail. 16-bit now instead of 8 or something, maybe. It's getting there. No, it's still 8-bit. It's just still old.
Yeah, I want to think these were on, like, you know, the European computers, which were a lot more powerful than, you know, the Ataris and the NES of the day.
A little more detail here. You got your sword status, your body shield, little bars, and for those. The Moon's Till Doom countdown there. So it looks like a little more involvement in this one.
Yeah, this one was more of a platformer. Like, you know, most of the game you were inside Castle Grayskull, jumping around, finding stuff so that you could get to the next part. Like I said, I never got to play it. I only ever have seen videos of it. Same thing with this game.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one either. Terraquake.
I want to think this one was a text adventure, if I'm...
Oh, okay. I remember a lot of those too, man. Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah.
I remember these. You know, Oregon Trail and things like that back in the day where you select a different way and whatever command will take you in a different scene or something. Very cool.
Was it Zork was another big one?
Zork was a big one, yes. I remember a friend that had that. I had a big computer nerd friend of mine who was so in depth with this stuff. We were downloading games that would literally take a couple days to get a game, but it was the receiver from the phone hooked up like old Weird Science and all that. War game style modem, and it was just he was so like he was literally hacking into stuff in Europe, and I would look and see like this is crazy, and that was in this time period. So the game built off the movie.
Yeah, which most of the game is like this top down where you're fighting the troopers,
like Zelda-ish.
You know, you're collecting musical notes.
Gotcha.
Because you know the whole musical thing with the key. Yep. And then when you'd get to the boss fights, it would switch to like a side view like this, like more of a fighting game kind of thing.
So this is more like Double Dragon here in my like if I'm thinking of one, and this is more like what I say, Zelda.
Yeah,
reminds me of Zelda or something.
Yeah,
but that's cool. Two different ways for it. Like normally one game would be one or the other.
Yeah, those
same game based off the movie.
Side view fights like that where the controls were so clunky. They were the hardest part of that game.
That's it, man. A lot of information, man. That was just the toy part in itself. Like I said, I had a good bit of the toys. Like I was one of those guys that tried to get all of them, but so many of them that I had no clue of that I learned from, especially when it comes to like some of the newer ones, when it comes to 88, 87, some of that stuff. I never knew a lot of that existed. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, you know, a lot of people forget about the New Adventures line that came out in 89, which was He-Man in Space.
I think the toy line that I saw when I went to Target was He-Man Origins is what I saw.
Yeah, Master of the Universe Origins is the big new line, like that Faker I pulled out. They look like the vintage, but they got like, you know, today's level of articulation.
The upgraded version of the originals.
What's really cool is they're modular. They're designed to take apart so kids can so kids can rearrange them and make their own characters.
Yep. Very
Like,
cool.
Very, very cool line.
That was the
And-
one that drew my attention when I saw the Origin ones. I was like, well, those look pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that's the main line Ivy likes. You know, I've got all of the Origins figures we own out on that table so that she'll leave my vintage ones alone.
So that is He-Man and the Masters Universe celebrate his 40th anniversary. We hit toys, TV, movies, the comics, little video games. That's in depth, and I'm glad to learn. We've committed on the Simpsons to doing something on them down the road. We talked about Turtles. We talked about one with like parody songs, and one I'd like to do one on all the because I have a ton of commercials now from collecting them, and maybe do something with the commercials and reminisce on all of them, put them all together, and do one just on the commercials to have fun.
But Countdown, Take Me Away.
Yeah, baby. All right, so let's get, speaking of commercials, into the commercials as we get into candy. We'll be right back after these last messages. Where's my after these messages things got it? Gosh darn it. Oh, I had this all organized. All right, let's get into the cartoons. I mean, the commercials. We got 2 more commercials left. I don't remember this candy here, but these 2 are candy. We got a candy and a chocolate here as we get ready for our final little segment. So stay tuned after this.
Visitors from outer space!
We come in peace to bring you terrific tasting space dust sizzling candy.
Space dust?
Wait till you experience the sizzle of galactic grape, orbiting orange, and cosmic cherry flavors.
Wow, the cherry tastes delicious!
I'm sizzling grape!
Space dust sizzling candy. In your mouth, it's out of this world.
Far out!
Space Dust, available in outer space or your local store.
So basically, Pop Rocks.
Like, that commercial makes no sense to me. Like, these alien fruit come out of space and give them candy, and the kids are just like, okay, like, no.
Yeah, it does look a little shady. That's why a lot of these commercials, I download them because they're shady. Like, here, let's eat some goobers.
Give us great tasting goobers to gobble, Gert. Guys and girls from Green Bay to Greenwich are going gaga about gobbling great tasting goobers.
I won't go without great tasting goobers to gobble.
Goobers are gorgeous golden peanuts in gobs and gobs of glorious Nestle milk chocolate. So the goobers you gobble taste gloriously great.
I'm goofy about gobbling great tasting goobers.
And goobers let you gobble gobs of great tasting goobers and still have goobers galore to gobble with the gang.
Golly, I go for guys who go for great tasting goobers.
Ooh. Alliteration at its finest.
If you turn that one into a drinking game and drank every time they said great tasting goobers, you'd...
Yeah, to me, goobers were a little something different back in the day. Cougar, you can check your Facebook if you would like to pop in. And speaking of popping in, the birthday boy is back. Howdy, Shifty. Oh, now he's gone. He said, screw you guys.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
There he is.
What?
All right, we got a lot of feedback. Where are we getting feedback from?
Feedback? What feedback?
All right, now it's gone. Now we're good. I think. Can I hear? No, I can't hear myself. Yep, I do hear myself.
Might have to mute YouTube, Shifty. That's what I have to do, where I have the same problem.
Yeah. Did you mute the? Do you have YouTube open too, Shifty? Or no? There we go. That's better. Right. As long as I don't hear myself.
Hello.
Okay, I got you.
There we go.
All right, let's get to some candy. All right, so I basically Googled 80s candy, old candy, whatever candy, and figured let's just talk about some of this stuff from back in the day that we used to love. I used to love. A lot of people used to love. So nowadays there are these little 1980s packs that you can order and just get a ton of different old school candy, as you see right there. We're going to get in depth to. What's that?
Is that pack of candy cigarettes on the upper left?
Yeah, we definitely have the candy cigarettes in the sludge. So we got a lot of people wishing Shifty happy birthday out there. There's Cougar. If you want to join us, you can.
All the birthday wishes, I truly do.
All right, so here we go. Let's get in depth a little more on some of the candy. I think I got a couple more collages here of just a whole bunch of stuff, and then we'll get individually into some specifics. And then we got a real cool football thing. Shifty, you're going to like this too before we go. Well, here, real quick, the penny candy here that I remember. I don't know what those egg-looking things are, but I definitely remember those flying saucers.
No clue.
I'll tell you what, one of my
I'm not a
favorite
candy guy, so.
words to this day is Swedish fish.
Yeah, Swedish fish are on here. I believe I got them on here somewhere. But the penny candy is what back in the day where you would find, and you could basically go in there with $1 and leave with a ton of candy. I wasn't a big hot anything, fireballs or anything like that, but those were pretty big back in the day.
Yeah. I love the cinnamon. I love the cinnamon, like now and laters, but cinnamon flavor. Love those.
I always remember like Valentine's Day to have those little red hearts too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Those cinnamon fiery heart thingies. Yeah. Chocolate coins were a big one. I love those. Used to barter with them.
I was never really a big fan of Cadbury eggs.
No,
Yeah.
you weren't.
Those
Cadbury?
I kind of liked, but I can't eat.
They're still going. They're still going strong today.
Oh, they got new
Yeah,
flavors
I'm a little
too.
big
The
fan.
chocolate ones, and the traditional, whatever the white inside flavor is.
Yeah, the traditional I don't care for at all. Give me chocolate or peanut butter.
You see, I'm not a peanut butter person. I never have been. I mean, it's not that I hate it, but I'd rather not. All right, Cougar, check Twitter then. Red hearts, cinnamon hearts, red hots. Yeah, red hots. That's what I call them. Red hots.
Hey, do you mind if I make a quick little announcement on your
Sure,
show?
go ahead, man.
I'm going to be doing a Jackbox stream after about 9 o'clock tonight on my channel.
Happy birthday, Jackbox stream with Shifty. You heard it here. I didn't mind these. A lot of people hated these circus peanuts.
Circus peanuts, they were like styrofoam, only worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds about right.
All right.
As long as it wasn't candy corn. Ugh.
Yeah, I did
God.
not put candy corn on here. No candy corn on here. Let's see what else we got here. Root beer barrels I loved.
Those I liked.
Yeah, I would eat tons of these. Like there's a lot of the grandma candy style. Like when you go to your grandma's, you would always have a dish of candy. I know at least mine would, and it would normally be these kind of things, but not always the root beer barrels. It'd be like the caramel things with
the gum spice drops. I love spice drops.
Yeah, there's another one.
Spice drops are unbelievable. My granny, she used to give us spice drops, and I used to eat those things by the bag. My granny, she used to give us spice drops.
Cougar, now, I think you got a mute now, Cougar. Yeah, you're watching it as well. Cougs, you're on. Cougar, now, I think you got a mute now, Cougar. Cougs, you there? Earth to Cougar. Come in, Cougar. Is there a Cougs out there? It says Cougar, so.
Kitty.
Oh, jeez, don't say that. You're going to get us all in trouble. I don't hear her. Cougar.
I don't hear her either.
I heard echoing from her microphone, so she was on there. All right, Coog, I'm going to kick you out. Try it again. Come on back in, Cougs. Try to come back in, see if it works. All right, here we go. Let's see what else. Here's your Swedish fish. We talked about Swedish fish.
Yes,
and,
Swedish fish.
I could eat a whole bag of these things, man. I still, to this day, if I see them on the shelf, it's hard not to grab a little bit of them because I think it's stuck in your teeth.
Every time I talk about these old kinds of candies, it always brings me back like the older style sodas like Big Red.
Yeah, I do remember Big Red.
There's only one place I know that still sells Big Red because it's still sold. But the only place that I know that actually still sells it is Cracker Barrel.
Wrestling Mama likes the Swedish fish. There you go. All right, let's see what else we got here. They're going to dig deep into them now. How about wax? They made us eat wax back in the day. I love these little things. I bite the tip off, suck the juice out of them. They were pop bottles. some
No way.
crazy kind of sugary juice inside, and it's legitimately just wax that we would chew on. Here's another
kind of.
Yeah,
Like-
here we go. Wax like these. Yeah, wax
Yes.
lips.
Okay. Those I've seen the lips and the vampire teeth. I've never seen the mustache one.
No, I've never seen the mustache one either, but the wax that we would eat in the back in the day, just chewing on regular old wax. Candy buttons were one of my favorites. I didn't care how much paper I ate because there's always paper on the back of most of them. But I really enjoyed candy buttons. I don't know if we can still find those anywhere, man, but those are something I really enjoyed.
Yeah, you can. A friend of mine is obsessed with them still. Like the ones he buys are called dots, but same idea.
All right, let's see what else we're going. Okay, are you there, Cougar? Hello. Talk, Cougar, talk. All this for nothing. Damn
She's
you,
like,
Cougar.
Not a trained seal.
You're such a tease, Cougar. We can't hear you. If I mute or unmute her, I mean, are you talking? Do you have a microphone, Cougar? Maybe she'll figure it out here while we keep going. Let's see what else. These things came. There were so many different ways that they just gave you these little chunks of sugar. I'm talking, and yes, I am a tease. We can't hear you, Cougar. You're not talking. Your microphone's not on. I can mute you and unmute you.
So these, I had one of those garbage cans, but had no idea where it ever came from.
Yeah, like they would come in those garbage cans or like stuff like that. It would just be these little pieces of candy. This was like Easter stuff that you'd get in your basket that like normally would be some of the last ones. They look like Flintstone vitamins or something.
Yeah, they do. Now that you mention it, they really do.
What do you think about those, Cougs? Oh, really, Cougar? That's awesome. It's great to hear from you, Cougar. I'm so glad. I love your input. Now, these things were just jars of sugar. Like you literally just open them and they would just be tons of flavored sugar.
So basically Kool-Aid?
Yeah, you get your kids all hopped up on sugar. There you go.
So these were basically like swizzle sticks without being a stick.
Yeah. Yeah, like pixie sticks and stuff like that. Yep. I think I have pixie sticks on here somewhere. It's just full. Now, everyone remember these from Halloween. I mean, Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
Cougar said, screw you guys, I'm out of here.
Yeah, those things were gross, I remember.
Yeah, these were not that good. They tasted like medicine or something. Like
chalk.
Yeah, chalk or like a Pepto-Bismol candy piece or something. I'm trying to find the picture because it's weird. The picture of these, the things that they say are, hold on, because you can't read it, but I want to read some of these because I think they're lyrics. It says, I got the look of love, sweet dreams are made of this. I've been waiting for a girl like you. Take on me. I can't go for that. No, can do. Love Shack, baby. Love Shack. These are all songs, song titles. I couldn't remember what they were because you can't read them, but I do remember those every Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I got that too, Elfie. Those are coming up. Those are
I'm gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna turn around and desert you.
Hold on, I can grab my guitar. I can play that song.
Did you just rickroll us?
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
There you go. These things here, I'd literally wear one around my neck and bite them, eat them, chew them. You know, these are another that you find in your Easter basket. Candy necklace.
Chalk necklaces. I mean, candy necklaces.
Yeah, it is so much like we're eating chalk and wax when we were kids. Chupa chups. Chupa chups. There was these. I like these because my favorite one was the cotton candy one. You see them at the registers all the time when you go to check out at whatever store you're at back in the day. And I always would find the cotton candy ones and buy them up. I couldn't resist. So cotton candy was my favorite on these ones. And those were a staple of back in the day. They're still around. Now these jelly beans, the really crazy jelly beans. I always like I can pick if you could pick one out of here, which flavor would you pick? Like definitely not black licorice. I think I'd go for strawberry daiquiri.
Green apple.
Or toasted marshmallow, because I'm a big s'mores guy. Green apple. There's cinnamon apple, chocolate fudge, blueberry, blackberry brandy. Like, hey, man, these are like liquor ones. Hey, we got a dragonling.
What's up, buddy?
Here's another plethora of 80s candy. One of those things where you can order nostalgia retro candy and get it all at a time. Bringing back a lot of. I told you, I knew that's what this would be about. I mean, really, some of these, and we're just starting. One on the bottom there we'll get to, but the ring pops. We're going to get into chocolate and gum here soon, as I tried to organize these a little bit because there were a good bit of them. Let's see what we got next here. Chocolate bars. All right.
I remember seeing all of them at stores, but never really tried any of them.
Anybody out there have a favorite chocolate bar in the chat? Let us know what your favorite chocolate bar is.
I did like Butterfinger as a kid. That was one of my favorites.
I
actually eat.
I wasn't we lost the shifty. I wasn't a peanut butter person, like I said, but Elfie's a Snickers person. Mallow cups, I like Mounds. There's one in here that I had. Kit Kat is Firestar. Yeah, I'm a big Kit Kat fan too. Me, for now, it's dark chocolate because they make anything with dark chocolate. I really like dark chocolate better. If they make like Kit Kat dark chocolate or Mounds is dark chocolate, so I like dark chocolate. It's supposed to be better for you too, if that makes any sense. So let's get down to some chocolate here. This was one of my favorites. I don't know if too many. I couldn't find these for so long. I was like trying to explain this to someone. I'm like, it's a chocolate bar that had bubbles in it, and they couldn't understand what I was trying to say. I'm like, it's a chocolate bar that had bubbles in it. Almond Joy is Mad Outlaw. Shifty, do you remember Chocolate?
Oh my God, Chocolate! I love Chocolate.
Yeah, it was real like light and fluffy chocolate that you bit through.
Almost.
Is it like the inside of Three Musketeers? That's kind of what it looked like.
It was kind of like that, but it was also like crisp rice. It was almost like Rice Krispie with chocolate, but not. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, it was definitely something different, but I really liked. Yeah, Elfie remembers them. These were great. It's one of my favorites that you didn't see all the time. Like, you didn't felt like you're cheating. I felt cheated. Yeah, there is holes all through it, so you weren't getting as much chocolate as a real thick Nestle bar. I loved 100 gram. I really like these. 100 gram were one of my favorites. Caramel, a lot of caramel I liked. Whatchamacallit, we saw the commercial for that earlier. Hershey's S'mores. I loved anything s'mores. I still do. Anything s'mores, I absolutely love.
I probably wouldn't like that one. I hate marshmallow.
No, you don't. There's the chunky. We saw the commercial earlier, the corny commercial with the chunkies. No raisins, thank you. No nuts in mine. I'll take just chocolate. That's just me. Charleston Chew. I do remember these. This is another staple for the Easter basket in my house. I'd always get a couple Charleston Chews.
Hey, Blaise.
Yeah.
What about Toblerone?
No, I know what those are, but I did not have those in the in the list. I do know what you're talking about, though.
Those toffee and chocolate are
toffee. That's what I'm saying.
Good combo.
Now here we have bubble gum. So we'll get into a little bubble gum. Good old double bubble. First and foremost, can't forget that one.
Flavor dies 30 seconds.
Big League Chew.
Big League Chew was one of my favorites. I loved Big League Chew. I lived off of it. I would stick as much in my mouth and pretend like it was a big tobacco chaw when I was playing baseball.
That's how they sold it to kids in the commercials. Was, kid putting
that is totally not gonna fly in this day and age.
No, no, not like a regular chew. Bubblicious. There were so many flavors of Bubblicious that I adored. And then what I liked more, and I will get into them here, is when they took this type of bubble gum, big, thick bubble gum pieces, and took it to the next level by putting shit inside of them. Juicy, crazy, weird shit. Bazooka first. Well, you got to remember Bazooka. They always had the cards. They had the comics on the inside of the Bazooka Joe comics.
Yeah.
So mixing collectibles with your gum, because you could find bazooka gum in some of the actual sports cards packs too. Gatorade gum, I do remember Gator gum. It was very, very potent, like strong, tons of like I'm sure. Yeah, sugar is the number one ingredient. No shit.
Corn syrup is also sugar.
Yeah, Kelly, I'm the same way. I was the guy who would take 4 different types of gum, or take one piece of thick gum and wrap a stick of gum around it, and then put some other. I would try to chew as much gum as possible all at once. Here we go. Stick some stuff inside of my gum and let it squirt. Like more squirters we got here. We had Squirter He-Man characters. Now we got Squirter candy. Yeah, Goddess says Gatorade gum was gross. It was very strong, wasn't it? It was like super potent type of gum. This stuff was cool too. I liked all of these. Give me all of them. There was a root beer gum I think I remember that I really like, and any type of cola gum for some reason I was attracted to. That's I did have that RC gum before. Then I don't want to know what's in the squirt. It's just juicy sugar, probably more sugar. This is called hop yourself up on as many sugar as you can and go to the damn dentist a couple of times a year. Because it got more flavor than fruit stripe gum. It lasted about 4 seconds, the flavor of fruit stripe gum, but it was addictive. Like literally.
I remember it being super cheap too. So like, you could just spit it out and put another stick in your mouth.
The
like,
one thing
one of the few like candy type things.
The one thing I don't have on here, which I should now in hindsight, is Pez. And Pez is one of my all-time favorite candies because I cannot just eat just one piece of Pez. It's just like Lay's potato chips. I'm slamming the whole thing of Pez candy.
Are big collectibles now.
Ooh, shifty. I have a Stormtrooper Pez dispenser from back in the day. That's pretty old. I have 2 Spider-Man ones from back in the day too. They have to be from the 80s. But yeah, the Pez dispensers are extremely collectible. Like there are some rare ones that are like hundreds of dollars. Here's more. Put some gooey stuff inside my gum and let me get a little surprise when I bite into it. Happy birthday, Shifty. Freshen Up gum was the minty flavor of the ones we just had that had the pop, like 7-Up or RC Cola. This is Freshen Up, which is supposed to be minty, freshen your breath.
Like prelude to Gushers, right?
Yep. Yes, it is. Yep. Just like the Gushers ended up being. We got a little more. I think we got a couple more gum. Or are we gonna? Yeah, I love these. Here we're getting into the smokable candy. The stuff that really shouldn't fly as candy anymore. We got cigars here, and I think I lumped the and this is bubble gum. I think I lumped the cigarettes right after. There was 2 types of cigarettes. There was the candy cigarettes, which were just chalk, and there was the gum cigarettes, which were so cool because if you blew in the end, the puff of dust would fly out the other end like you were smoking. And we'll see those here in a second. I think those are next. I think I tried to be organized about this. Let's see if I was. No, we got Razzles. Oh, Razzles. I'm sorry, I got to go there. When you are stoned, this is the best candy on the planet. I specifically remember a friend of mine going to a store and we went in and said, look, we're going to get some kind of candy. And he was like, do you remember Razzles? And I was like, yes. And I loved them. And we were probably 18, 19, close to 20. And we sat in front of this convenience store laughing and slamming like 4 packs of Razzles, continuously saying, first it's a candy, then it's a gum. It's a miracle. We were like, so like, if when you were younger, man, you get the giggles and you find something really funny and you just get hooked on it. We laughed for hours. We realized after a while that we were still sitting right in front of like the glass windows of a big convenience store, busting out laughing, slamming all this fucking Razzles in our mouth. I'll never forget it. My friend Keith, I'd love for him to tell the story. He probably could tell a lot better than me. Oh no. Don't freeze up.
Give me some bug juice, and I'll be happy. At 8 years old.
Oh, dear. Slideshow freeze?
I think so. My whole StreamYards, I think, froze. Yeah,
And
I don't know.
bomb pop.
Crap. Oh no.
Did we lose Blaze?
We did, which I'm going to
Oh, boy.
imagine YouTube must have dropped too then once it catches up to us. Crap.
That's too bad. Hopefully we'll get Blaze back here.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't have any pictures of Candy to talk about. Not that I could, because I don't really know anything about Candy. Like I said, I've never had a sweet tooth. It's never been my thing. Okay, yeah, we're still on the YouTube, by the way, Shifty. Like it finally caught showing us.
Dork, join the Legion. Hashtag join the Legion. That's right.
Yeah, Blaze will be back, he says. So you just gotta wait for him.
Technical issue, but it looks like we're still going. So yeah, we were talking about Candy, right?
Yeah.
And different kinds of stuff. Did Blaze mention Milk Duds? Because I love Milk Duds.
I don't think he did.
Theater candies.
Like, really, the only ones I was ever into were Jelly Beans and Butterfingers.
Because I would get myself Milk Duds and a Sprite and go and watch a matinee. And you know, back in the day when you could stay in for 4 movies in a row.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I used to do that a lot of time in my hometown. We had a theater; they would show like 5 movies in one day on the same screen, and you just go in the morning and you buy. As long as you stay in the building, you can be there all day, you know. And it was just so cool because all the different movies that you could watch.
Yeah, they don't do stuff.
like that. No, they really don't. They really don't do stuff like that. And I bet if a place decided to do something like that, they could probably make a killing in the summers.
Oh, definitely.
Because I mean, you would get so many families that would go and say, "Hey, your kids are going to go to the movies for the whole day," you know, and give them money for snacks.
Yeah. Babysitter, really.
As you guys can hear I'm sure you guys can hear the Dragonling talking in the background, asking for high fives.
Can't go wrong with high fives.
Oh, there's Blaze back. Welcome back.
Right. All right, now let me mute this.
Cougar, apparently.
Cougar, are you there?
Cougar?
I saw her thing move real quick, like sound was coming through it. All right.
Yeah.
Let me reshare. That was very weird. Let me go back to the Candy here.
It's interesting how it kept us going, though, like without you.
Yeah, I'm glad because I was like, oh, crap, it's going to go away. So we were on Razzles. I was telling my weed story about how we freaked out about how first it's a candy, then it's a freaking gum. All right, that's where we lost it. Cougar! I don't know why it doesn't work. I've seen you on StreamYards before. Gold nugget bubble gum, little nuggets of gum. Let's see what else we got here as we close up the candy. And then I can't wait to show you this NFL thing I found. There's the bubble gum. So this was gum, chalky gum, but if you blew into the one side, the dust from the gum would come out the other end like you were smoking.
Lucky Life bubble gum. Oh my gosh. Back to my childhood, Blaze.
Yeah, these were so I mean these were really reminding me of
they look like actual packs of cigarettes too.
Yeah, it reminds me of here hold on, let me get to the other ones. There's the other ones. Those are the ones that were legit. They look like joints.
Yeah. So those are the ones I remember.
The chalky ones that look like they would burn on one end, that they little discoloration.
Yeah, like you said, you blow on the end and all the powdered sugar goes flying out.
Eating chalk, basically, is we ate chalk and we ate wax, bubble gum, and it's amazing we still have, there's some more of the cigarettes. Amazing that we still
I
have.
don't want any side effects.
Your headset mic died. Cougar, get a different headset mic. These were one of my favorites. I loved friggin' wacky wafers. Anyone else remember wacky wafers?
I don't remember them at all.
Loved wacky wafers. And they weren't as like readily available. Like you had to look for them. They weren't always as readily available as like the other candy.
What about chalk?
Here we go. Wacky. How about Necco wafers? See, Cougar loved them.
Weren't those chocolate too?
Now these ones, there was only certain ones in the colorful ones I liked, but if you gave me these ones, I would eat them like crazy. The chocolate ones. Yes, I would eat the whole roll of those things in like a minute, man. Talk about an addictive candy. Yes, regular Necco wafers, most of them were nasty because they were all minty flavored and like grandma candy. The chocolate ones were a bomb. You can still get them. Nice. All right, a couple more here before we get into our bonus feature for this evening. Here's some more sugar all over the place. A push up.
You know, and, that one's one of Ivy's favorites right there.
I think I have the ring pops too next, maybe. No, the melody pops. They were whistles.
I remember those.
These I remember. They were freaking whistles, and you'd get this. And a lot of this stuff just makes me think of Easter, because these are the type of shit that you get in your Easter basket.
Or Halloween.
Or your Christmas stocking.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There you go. Good old pixie sticks.
There they are.
Don't snort it.
I had a friend who used to
Please don't snort the pixie sticks.
Play Halloween Sensory video on YouTube.
All right. Let's go. We got a couple more here. I think that's about it. There's one of the classics.
Number.
Lick-a-made. Ooh, damn, big time feedback there. Yeah, look, see, you get hopped up on pixie sticks, man. You really will. I muted you, Shifty. If you get that figured out, just unmute yourself. So we got pixie. There you go. Pixie sticks. No, I hear myself. I shouldn't hear myself. There's Pop Rocks. We saw the space dust, it was called. Yeah. I'm not doing any dust. No, thank you. But no, Pop Rocks, there was that
space fruit.
There was that myth when I was a kid that they would say, don't eat Pop Rocks and drink pop because your belly will explode.
Yeah, I remember Mythbusters did a segment on one of their episodes about that and actually tested it, and it doesn't work.
A lot of this candy still existed in the 2000s, Cody. And welcome in, my friend. Well, anybody who's an NFL fan, get ready. We got a little treat for you to end the show here. We're closing out on the candy portion. Sour Patch Kids. I wasn't a huge fan of them, the Sour Patch Kids, but I would sometimes enjoy them. Not bad. One more, I think, maybe. Let's see. The Everlasting Gobstopper. Talk about breaking your teeth if you try to bite the son of a bitches.
Yeah.
It can happen. All right. So that is, I wanted to just go back. Same thing. A lot of people were talking about Easter or Christmas stocking and stuff like that. We got one more segment, and I saw this earlier today, and I was like, this would be something fun to cover because we know football season just started, and we're getting ready to go in the first. I'll be live on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern for the Red Zone. Will cover all the NFL games in the 1 o'clock window, every touchdown. So I figured let's take a look at what I found on the old intranets. Mixing NFL with Marvel. So here we have the Marvel Football League. So these are, and I know a lot of times you scroll through these things, you'll see different designs, alternate designs that someone did of NFL helmets, and they would do their own twist or a newfangled way of mixing the colors for NFL helmets. This here is a mashup of Marvel and the NFL for every NFL team. So let's go through here. Check this out. Okay, we have the Arizona Phoenix. So obviously the play on words there with Phoenix and keeping the logo pretty similar.
But
Making it
reminiscent of Jean Grey.
Trying to make, a little bit of Jean Grey look to the actual bird on the Phoenix. The Atlanta Falcons are the Mercs, which is a Deadpool reference there. You see, pretty cool. They still tried to incorporate the wings of the bird for the Falcon where the F is.
Makes you wonder why they didn't just use the Falcon.
Yeah, not one of my favorites. Yeah, they could have used the Falcon, but I guess they're trying to mix it up. This one's kind of close to the ball. Instead of the Ravens, you have the Hawkeyes, which is pretty cool. They're trying to stay either true to the helmet logo and mix something with Marvel in, which I appreciate because, there is some kind of tie to it one way or another. This one I think should be legit their helmet because what's a Buffalo Bill? If a Buffalo Rhino, that looks amazing. And it keeps it true to the same colors, same logo, and the Rhino reference from, obviously, the Marvel villain Rhino. I'd love that one. I think that one's one of my favorites.
That one's cool.
Carolina Wolverines, not one of my favorites. Very weird looking, but they're trying to make it look like the Panther logo that the Panthers have for real. Not one of the best ones, but
Black Panther myself.
Yeah, this one's Cincinnati Symbiotes. We were talking about it before the show. I thought maybe Spawn or what did you say? Carnage.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Carnage.
Yeah, Cincinnati Carnage would be a good one. You don't need Symbiotes. I see why they called it that. And I see why they used it because it's a resemblant of the Bengal helmet. So I dig that one too. The best looking Cleveland Brown helmet ever. It actually makes sense. Doesn't look stupid. It looks like the Thing from Fantastic Four.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters right there. So I appreciate that one. I love
very
the
cool. I don't like anything Cleveland, but if anything, the Cleveland Things would be okay with me. The Denver Brood. Let's see, what's that? In the Marvel world, the Brood is a space alien race of toothy creatures. So instead of
the X-Men.
Yeah, there you go. So you got the Brood. The Detroit Beasts. Yeah, okay. I get the blue guy and the Beast and trying to stay true to the Lions logo there with the X-Men's Beast. What else we got? The Houston Odins. So very close to the real logo, but morphing it into a Marvel logo as well.
Yeah, that one feels a little phoned in.
This one I like. This one I really like. The Indianapolis
it's a logo into the ears.
Yes. And it's a tongue twister. Say Indianapolis Galactus 10 times. You're going to end up saying the Indianapolis Galacticuses.
Yeah, those poor announcers would have such a rough time.
Yeah. But that's a good one. I kind of like that one. Indianapolis Galactus. The Jacksonville Rockets. You got little Rocky there from the Gardens of the Galaxy. You got Rocket. I like Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
I just watched Thor Love and Thunder yesterday, and I kind of like it.
Same here.
I got into a little talk with R. Shulky about the She-Hulk show because every week I get a message from Shulky about the She-Hulk show. I'm enjoying it, but the only thing I do not like is the fourth wall break stuff. And Shulky did correct me and say that is part of She-Hulk's thing, breaking the fourth wall.
He was the first character to do that, even before Deadpool was even created.
Hello.
Hi, Ivy again.
Yeah, that was mainly during the John Byrne run on the book in the 80s.
Gotcha. See, I didn't know that. Shulky, you know how he is quickly correcting me, saying that's part of She-Hulk. And I was like, that's the only thing I picked up. Now, I don't mind this one. And there's another one that's like this later that I really like, but the Kansas City Spideys.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
With both eyes. I want to see it from the front, too, how it would make it look very cool. And I'm a big Spider-Man guy, so that one definitely draws my attention.
I can totally understand this one, the Miami.
Yeah, it looks a little weird at first, but it does make sense.
That one does make sense. And
the underwater humanoid. All right. This is the one. Now, at first I was like, what is that blob on the side of the helmet? And I'm like, the Viking hook is Venom's freaking eye. And it's just like Spider-Man if you look from the front. That looks so cool once I really got to sit and look at it a little bit. There's Shulky. She's right there. She's coming in to pull my card when I was talking about stuff. And yeah, you don't have to correct anything else. Well, she wants us to do a She-Hulk We might have to do something on She-Hulk at some point in time here on the show for you, Shulky.
How about we wait till the show's done and then we can discuss the series and the comics and all that together.
That's fine with me. I'm down with that. The Tampa Bay Punishers, very plain and simple, straightforward. Put the gun as the pole and the Punisher logo instead of the Buccaneer. I dig it. Not bad. Nice little mesh there.
Yeah, definitely works.
Elfie
This
saying
one
hi.
works really well too.
Yeah, the Nova, the New Orleans Nova, I do like. Shulky saying hi to everybody. Good to see you, Shulky. Glad you made it. Glad you made it.
I'm watching.
I wonder if this would actually. There we go. That's a little better. Let's see. The New York Doctor Strange. They're reaching a little bit on this one.
That one, I'm a Giants fan, and that one's really phoned in.
But I mean, as cool as Doctor Strange is, I would imagine a very crazy, like, I want to see the sparks. I want to see some cool shit around the
symbol from the Sanctum instead of
something different. I get why it's the NY to the DS, but I don't know.
Yeah, not that cool.
The New York Quinjets, very clever, little pun.
Yep.
So I don't mind. I don't mind that one at all. I dig that one.
Makes a lot of sense too.
Yes, true to the team, true to the city and everything. The Tennessee Thors is not bad because the hammer makes a T.
Yeah,
T for Thor, T for Tennessee. So that one kind of makes a sense. It's pretty much legit like the Titans logo. So I dig that one.
Yeah.
This one I like too. The Sentry. I'm not sure what Sentry is.
He's a Superman
member of the Avengers. Sentry is a member of the Avengers.
No. He's basically another Superman ripoff.
Gotcha.
And it's basically what he was. So
but I like the Chargers uniforms are one of my favorites of all times with the lightning bolts and the lightning bolt down the pants. But staying pretty true to the original thing, just turning it into an S.
Yeah.
The Washington Groots. You know why I love this one? I can just imagine in the stands the I am Groot chants. I am Groot. I am Groot. That would be their war cry. Wouldn't that be amazing? See, that's better than the Washington Commanders, if you ask me. I know licensing and all, but that's pretty good one there. This one I like too. At first I was like, but they used the Doc Ock arm as the ram horn.
Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense too.
I don't know if I like the Los Angeles Doc Ock's name, but I like the helmet.
No, I would have just called them the octopuses.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Here we go. One for She-Hulk chick and for Shifty, the Seahawk fan. And this one makes sense to the Seattle Hulks. It's his face, but it's also a big fist. And I like this one. It's a very clever one and keeping very true to the Seattle Seahawks, the Hawks, the Hulks. Very close. Seahawks, Seahulks. This one's not bad too. They just took the C and turned it into a U and made it the Chicago Ultrons. You could have made a little more. I'd rather just have that logo on the side of it.
Really, what they should have done was just the eyes and the mouth, and it would have been perfect. That one's kind of phoned in too.
But I see what. They're very lazy because they just took the Chicago C and turned it, 90 degrees. So good for you. Agents of Oakland. So they just went and just had a shield one through Nick Fury's face on there instead of the Raider.
That makes so much sense though. At the same time,
yeah, it does. I mean, it's not the best one of all these, and you had plenty of really better ones. But I dig it. I think it's funny. I love this one, the Green Bay Iron Fist.
That one makes sense too.
Yeah, it just looks like a good helmet. Iron Fist, the martial artist from Marvel, Green Bay Iron Fists. Seattle Seahawks, says Cody. Yep. Here is I don't know who the Fin Fang Fooms are.
Iron Man villain, big giant space dragon.
Yeah, it even says here Fin Fang Foom is a space-shifting alien that's been part of the Marvel Universe since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And I like that one, though, because I like those ones that, just like the eyes of the Spider-Man and the Carnage, or the other, where it's Venom, I mean, when it's the eyes or the wings on the side, just like the helmet. So I like that option. The San Francisco Iron Men, the colors make sense.
Yeah, the colors make sense, but that's
matches up. Not the best logo, pretty plain, but yeah. Pittsburgh Hydra. I've actually seen this one before, and it uses the U.S. Steel logo and the different colors. Like, so I guess we're the bad guys in Pittsburgh here. So we not bad. Pittsburgh Hydra. The New England Star Lords. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I can kind of see it.
I would have gone with Captain America since their name's the Patriots.
Well, you'll see that one coming up here in a minute. Okay. Peter Quill's Star Lord. Yeah, see, the Dallas Captains makes sense too. So I can see why they didn't do that. But yeah, it would have made sense for the Patriots as well. But then I saw this and I'm like, yeah, not America's team though. Dallas is not.
Like, that's one of their nicknames, the America's team. So I guess it makes sense to make them Captain America.
Yeah. And it looks like a cowboy helmet, but just the shield instead. So I dig that one. I think that's it. That is it. That is all the teams and a Marvel-based helmet, which I thought was very cool, and I wanted to cover. Good time. We're right at the 2.5 hour mark. Very in depth. I learned a lot about He-Man, which, like I said, was one of my favorites. But that's what I mean. You can have a favorite toy or a favorite superhero or villain, but not know everything about them. Like a lot of people think you should know, even the sports fans out there. If you're a fan of this team, you should know all the offensive linemen and this and the third string got now. Your fandom can be however you want it to be, and always try to learn more. I mean, like I said, I knew I was going to learn at least one or two things tonight about He-Man. I learned a hell of a lot, and I appreciate it. You definitely did exactly what I thought. We would do some of the fun commercials, the He-Man commercial that was a little more in depth that we talked about earlier, and candy. We got chocolate and gum and sugar and wax and chalk that they made us eat back in the day. But that was our little journey into retro everything here on the Legion of Dork. Want to thank Cougar and Shifty. Even we had a little bit of technical difficulties for them guys to stop them by, hanging out for a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching the replay, please leave me some comments. Your favorite superhero, your favorite villain, and your favorite candy from the 80s, and what you would like to see us do. We take suggestions. You guys voted for The Simpsons on the last time when we covered Ren and Stimpy and all the weird comics from the cartoons from the 90s. You want to see Simpsons, which there's definitely. I have a friend who is huge on The Simpsons and SpongeBob. And if I bring him on to talk about The Simpsons, I'm sure he would know a lot. He'd be one of the experts I'd like to bring on if I can.
You should, because, I mean,
I don't know much. I think it's funny too, but I don't know any details. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way as you, bro.
I haven't watched it regularly in years. Like, I'll watch clips here and there, but But
the way it tied in real life news and pop culture and all that stuff into the show gives us a lot of ammunition to make something. So if you guys have ideas, we've talked about parody songs. Because I love parody songs in the Weird Al genres type stuff, Dr. Demento. So if we could delve into that one. I do have a ton of commercials now from all these retro commercials, so we legitimately could have one just on the old commercials. So a lot of great ideas. You guys make sure you send us your ideas on what you would like to see here on the Legion of Dork. Welcome to the Legion. We all are dorks in one way or another, and it's really cool to just look back at the nostalgia and the retro stuff from when we were kids. And like we said earlier, how they're carrying on the tradition of a lot of that stuff into either an updated version or movies, TV shows and such. So we'll continue to try to bring you periodically some more entertaining, wild stuff here on the Legion of Dork. And appreciate you. Any final words there, Nacho, before we take off?
Just by the Grayskull, I have the power.
Yes, we have the power.